Meeting. This is a regular monthly meeting of the Princeton Historic Preservation Commission being held in person on October 20th, 2025 at 5 p.m. in the main meeting room of the municipal building at 400 Witherspoon Street, Princeton, New Jersey. Pursuant to Section 13 of the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of the time and place and agenda of this meeting has been noticed by transmitting a copy to the Princeton Packet, Town Topics, The Times, Trentonian, and by filing a copy with the Clerk of Princeton, and has been posted to the municipal website, www.princetonnj.gov/meetings, and posted on the official bulletin board at the Princeton Municipal Complex, 400 Witherspoon Street, Princeton, New Jersey. Elizabeth, do you want to take the roll?
Yes. Ms. Satterfield? Here. Mr. Shatskin?
Here.
Ms. Howard? Mr. Shore?
Here.
Ms. Friedman? Here. Ms. Kroll? Here. Ms. Maria? Here. And Chair Capozzoli.
Here. All right, thank you everyone for coming. My first announcement is that we are extremely saddened by the passing of our colleague, Elric Endersby, last week. And we will be holding comments after the applications during public comment to give remembrances about Elric. So thank you. We have two sets of minutes, February 3rd, 2025. Are there changes or comments to the minutes? And if there are no changes, would someone like to move approval? All right, thanks, Roger. Is there a second? What? Oh, David seconds. Oh, February 3rd, I think you were. Let's see. Let's see. Okay. Elizabeth, do you have the list of who was here February 3rd?
Oh, I'm sorry, Madam Chair. I don't have that printed out.
Yeah, I was
Does
just...
anyone recall being at that February 3rd meeting? Ian, do you have a copy of that at hand so you could see who? Thank you.
Okay.
February 3rd, it was Capozzoli, Satterfield, Friedman, Shore, Shatskin, and Howard.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, so David seconds.
Okay.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. The minutes from July 21st, 2025.
Okay.
These were carried from the August meeting.
Present were Shore, Capozzoli, Endersby, Friedman, Satterfield, and Koshnovikova.
Okay, thanks. Is there a motion? Are there any changes to the minutes? And if not, further changes? And if not, would someone like to move approval? Okay, thanks, David. Is there a second? I think I saw Charlotte. Okay. Oh, Shirley. Okay. All in favor, please say aye. 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 Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to the applications for the Princeton Theological Seminary. It's 44 Mercer, 15 to 17 Alexander Street, 19 Alexander Street, 2527 Alexander Street, 29 Alexander Street, and 31 Alexander Street. So Elizabeth's going to start off with a summary, and then I'll turn it over to the applicant for their presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The way that I'd like to approach this is just generally talk about the 6 properties of the seminary, as you had mentioned, 1517, 19, 25, 27, 29, 31 Alexander, and 44 Mercer Street. In the reports, I carried over a lot of the historic information from the review that the applicant had received in 2024, where they had come in for exterior building improvements, and that's really just to let some of the members who weren't here in that time just have a little knowledge of the history of the properties, in addition to kind of refresh the HPC's memory on them. And what I'll do is I'll identify the lot and blocks and the addresses just for the record. So 1517 Alexander is block 40.01, lot 7, zone R3. Sorry, I don't need the zone. 19 Alexander is block 40.01, lot 8. 2527 Alexander is block 40.01, lot 9. 31 Alexander is block 40.01, lot 11. 29 Alexander is block 40.01, lot 10. And 44 Mercer is block 40.01, lot 5. So these 6 properties, many of which are Stedman houses, as mentioned, it was discussed at the special meetings in 2024. And these all are coming in for landscape and hardscape improvements. Many of them talk about the replacement of the driveway apron in addition to the sidewalk that's part of the driveway. Talks about walkway improvements, landing for sidewalks, landscape, some retaining wall, fences, wood, and aluminum, lighting as well. So I think that just to kind of highlight them, the change of material for bluestone colored concrete for the step landings in addition to the driveway above the apron of the driveway. Location of new trees in front of houses were some of the comments that came up, whether it was appropriate to have it in front of the houses directly to block the view of the historic buildings, well, whether it should be set to the side or perhaps replaced with something that might not be as dense. Talked about in one of the applications that they're looking to widen the sidewalk, one which is on the side of the property going along the side, in addition to widening steps to allow for installation of new railings. And also, also for HBC to consider for the 2 fences, one which is the wood fencing, which is most of the proposed installation is going to be the style that's on 44 Mercer, which is on the corner of Mercer and Alexander, and the other one is for the approval for aluminum fencing. What else do I have here? And also, also for the HBC to address the landscape violations where vegetation was removed without coming before the Historic Preservation Office to see if it needs to come for review or not. And there is another property which is 2931, where the applicant has proposed some path lighting and some reflected, but mirrored landscape on both the properties that are joining each other. And the reason for the lighting is the applicant indicates that their seminary community, in addition to the neighbors, use that as a throughway to get to the campus and back to the neighborhood. So that's something that HBC should look at and see if they find that appropriate or not. So those are just kind of the highlights of that. I just wanted to bring that up for HPC to review. And again, this is in the Mercer Hill Historic District. This is type 2, which is anything visible from the public right-of-way. There's no paint involved here, so we don't have to address that. I'd like to turn it over to the applicant so he can kind of address some of the comments that were made in the reports, and then maybe go back to those comments and go site by site to address them as well. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Okay, hi, Ryan.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Madam Chair, members of the board, Ryan Kennedy from Stevens and Lee here for the applicant, Princeton Theological Seminary. To my left, your right, we have our landscape architect. I'll have her introduce herself in a second. We may not need them, but behind me we also have the Vice President for Facilities for the seminary, as well as our actual building architect if needed, but not expecting to need them necessarily on our presentation. As Ms. Kim said, we have 6 properties that many of you are familiar with from last, I guess not last summer so much as the year before, 2024, for the approvals for the upgrades to the actual buildings themselves. And we're here tonight for landscaping and hardscaping, as Ms. Kim said. The largest pieces of which are the aprons and the sidewalks adjacent to the aprons where the driveways cross the slate sidewalks here. The applicant is proposing a colored concrete and to reuse the slates elsewhere where they can be repaired. But we'll take a walk through the neighborhood and the conditions, and hope you'll agree with our proposal to replace them with something sturdier. They're just unfortunately not holding up well. The balance of this application, then moving to hardscape, we do have 2 stairs to be replaced. I'll say confusion is not the right word, but we did have 2 options in the proposal, one for a concrete stairs and then one that could be clad with stone. Both are provided as possibilities for the board to help us consider. Most of the reasoning for those improvements are the unfortunate, go to safety and code, railings where they should be there, uneven stair treads and risers, to bring up to code for safety purposes. Looking forward to the discussion about the retaining wall. A lot of effort went into thinking about how to restore that, and certainly interested in the board's take on whether that should even be there at all. To be honest with you, that wasn't something that crossed our thinking to remove it necessarily as part of the project, but looking for your take there. And ultimately, the tree replacements and plantings as part of the application. And finally, just to note again, between 29 and 31, there is we won't call it a shared driveway, but ultimately that is a way that the community does use to get to the, these are residential style homes, but they are part of an institutional use as well. And there are some, I'll just say, some additional considerations in planning for those that we'll talk through. Before we start, maybe I'll just ask Marta to introduce herself and get her credentials out there for you guys.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Mara Baird.
Before you start, we should swear you in. If you can
Pardon me?
raise your right hand, we'll swear you in.
Oh.
Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give this evening is the whole truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
My name is Mara Baird, a landscape architect. I've been practicing for over 40 years. Most of my work has to do with education systems, colleges and universities in the Philadelphia area. And I've also done work with public gardens. And I've been working with the seminary for about 8 years now on various projects. This is the most recent.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So just from a run-of-show perspective, I thought the way Elizabeth gave the overview was very helpful. We have split our presentation into property by property, so if it's okay, we can start. I have 2 slides generally about the neighborhood, but then go right into 44, if that's
Okay,
all right?
that sounds good.
All right. Mr. Angelo, we'll have one, if you want to remark it for each one if that's necessary, but it ultimately is one slide presentation,
Elizabeth, what would you
if they're even marked.
Everything is, the whole slideshow is one exhibit, or mark each property as an exhibit?
Probably each one, because
We'll
they're
just
all
note which
separate.
slides
We'll mark
pertain to each one.
A1 through A6
All right.
according.
Excellent. So first, if we could, the slide 2 here is the neighborhood view. Anything you want to just add about what we're looking at here as far as the seminary's campus is concerned?
No, not at this time.
Okay. Moving to slide 3, we've prepared kind of a zoom in of that map that shows the properties that we'll be discussing here, starting on the right, 44 Mercer at the corner, and going to 31 Alexander on the left. And with each one, we posted the facade with it too, just for some neighborhood context, and we can move back to this if the board would like to see it again as we're thinking about context of any of the projects or properties that we're talking about. So starting with 44 Mercer, the key pieces to this are first the replacement of the apron and sidewalk with a French gray colored concrete. Ultimately, as we'll show in a few slides, these have not held up well, and the belief is that the upgraded material will both free up some of the slates for use elsewhere, but hold up better and have a better look. We'll also walk through the neighborhood. There's very few examples of other driveways using slate anymore in Witherspoon-Jackson. Excuse me, in Mercer Hill. There is on 44 down Alexander, there at the end of the previously installed fence, there's a proposal to extend it by essentially one length of fence to help screen the parking area. We'll show some photos of that. And then if you want to just kind of talk through the types of plants that are being proposed here.
So one of the things with which I've been working on the seminary is to define a horticultural identity for the campus and have it be simple and elegant, focusing mostly on an arboretum type aesthetic rather than a garden aesthetic, so that there's an identity for the boundaries of properties that's defined by large canopy trees and smaller flowering trees. So this project offers an opportunity to grab a large piece of that at the perimeter of campus. So what we're talking about here are the stellar pink dogwood that you see at the right hand that would be used along the side of the property. Along the side of Alexander, where the property is more narrow, we're talking about adding the Ilex Dragon Lady, which is a narrow-growing evergreen, and it would be placed between the windows so that it would not block windows of the property. And then in the front, the Syringa reticulata, the tree lilac. The reason for that choice is that there is a tree lilac already on Mercer Street, and so the thought was that this would complement that planting. Other than that, again, we are trying to leave things simple and elegant, so it's mostly turf and trees.
Just going to the next slide, slide 5. This is the plot plan that shows where those plantings would be. And we have kind of shaded in red in that center photo the location where it's proposed that an additional fence panel matching the existing fence would be installed to help hide that parking area. Maybe just jumping right into some of the comments, there are certainly several different ways to screen a parking. It's the seminary's desire to do that and hide this. It's probably the only example of that kind of sideways parking lot style parking in the neighborhood that to ensure that it's screened. There are lots of ways to do that. This is the one that we propose because it does match and would appear like the rest of the fencing in the area, but certainly happy to hear and discuss other thoughts about that. While we're on this slide, I believe there were some comments on the location of the tree or type on that front corner. You want to perhaps talk about that a bit?
Well, again, the green triangles indicate the areas where we're suggesting that the Ilex Dragon Lady be planted. It's a narrow strip adjacent to the house, and we believe that that particular plant can be kept at a reasonable size to highlight the building. And then the pink triangle at the end is where the dogwood would go within that open space at the end of the property. Again, using the flowering trees to highlight the building, to frame the building.
Now, one of the comments on the I'll just call it the corner tree that was proposed might be that it would block the home. Is that the type of tree that you feel would be particularly opaque, or is that the right word, see-through, or allow some visualization through it?
Yes, and again, the idea is that the tree would be centered on the white panel at the end of the building rather than on the window, so it would not block views from the window of the house or to the house.
Next couple of slides, and we'll do our best not to repeat ourselves for the other properties, but this is the kind of the tour of aprons and sidewalks for the neighborhood, essentially. And we first, top right is the one for 44 Mercer. The apron itself is already concrete, and the sidewalk is what's left of slates. We then started with, starting down the other side of the street, 19, or continuing down the street, 19, 25, 27, and 29. You can see the rough conditions of these sidewalks. We then, try to find the only two other examples that are still left of slates in the area. And the next couple slides, really, we go down through other properties to show that they've really all been replaced with concrete. If they had been slate in the past, there's only those two examples of slates. Again, here's other concrete examples from the neighborhood that we believe that the color matched concrete would do a good job of say mimicking or showing, and has plenty of examples in the neighborhood as compared to the slate that is failing, unfortunately, under the weight of the cars. To just one of the comments, this will go to all of them, but the idea is to replace the sidewalk and the aprons with the matched concrete color, and if there are slate pieces, this is for all of the properties, to use them elsewhere on sidewalks and save as many of them as possible for use, as the seminary is a significant corner and street here of slates that they would be repurposed for and used. Going through the rest of the comments, I think we talked a little bit, but again, Era, if you want to talk a little bit more just about the and I'll go back maybe 2 slides. The tree placement along the home, I think, was meant to both not hide, but to kind of highlight and be between windows. But there's certainly room for repositioning or discussion there. But anything you'd like to add that to address Ms. Kim's second comment?
No, I think, as I said, the intent is to frame the building, not to block it.
And I know this is a comment or question that goes with every application, whether it's landscaping or ones that, someone building a new home, of course, but about the sustainable measures. The types of plants are the number of trees that are being planted, we believe is a huge net positive to try to reuse some of the slates from the apron area. But ultimately, for a landscaping project, there's not a lot of, we're certainly not using invasive plants. In fact, what might have been there years ago or in the past were invasive and kind of gnarly boxwoods in the past, and the idea is to, at least to seek approval to improve them with the flowering trees that we're proposing. So as to 44, that's certainly the program. I'll leave it to you if we want to pause and discuss this property or how you'd like to proceed. We could go through all of them if you'd like, or
why don't we go through your whole presentation, and then one by one we'll have comments, and then maybe take some public comment, and then we'll do it one by one.
Okay. So I'm moving on to slide 9, which I guess this will be our second exhibit, the exhibit for.
You know what I was actually trying to keep track of? I was going to mark the few slides you had at the beginning that were an overview of the whole neighborhood as A1.
Okay.
The slides dealing with 44 Mercer as A2, and then those several slides that you just had showing the driveway aprons, mark those as A3, and then we'll
Okay.
do the 1517 Alexander Street as A4.
Got it. Actually, I didn't write all of that down, but let me let me finish my notes. But so the driveway tour is A3. A2 is 44 Mercer. A1 is the 3 slides that showed the neighborhood. And then A4, we would start with 1517 Alexander. If I have that right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So next, moving down the street, in our mind, it's right to left if the corner of Mercer and Alexander is the right. As we move left down Alexander, we get to the second property. This one has a couple of different features to it than what we talked about at 44. From a hardscape perspective, the desire is to consolidate and rebuild the stairs, again with matched concrete, but again, you'll see in your packets there was also an alternative for a stone-clad option as well. To widen the walkway, that's that center photo there, that left piece with the yellow line being kind of the property line between the two properties, that is kind of the main access way for the rear of the house and how the occupant of that home would use things. So the proposal is to expand that so it's more usable, noting that there's not a net increase of impervious, or at least not enough of one that would cause either a variance or a stormwater issue. And that goes kind of no matter how the front steps are dealt with, I'll say. The original discussion proposal was to remove the strip to the right, that second walkway. It's on another property that's not the subject of one of these applications, so we would certainly be, that was the interest of the seminary to do, as the back and forth about deeming this complete. We couldn't include it necessarily, is my understanding, as part of the request here, but ultimately that's just an access to a fire escape, and we would be very happy to connect that part of the adjacent property to this one for the limited times that they would ever need it for access, and either as a subsequent application with the blessing, I suppose, of this board to pursue it, remove that other sidewalk. With that, then, there is a proposal to plant two cherry trees, I suppose, in the front of the property. And I'll move to the next slide, and perhaps you can just go through the planting plan.
Yes, it's pretty simple. We're talking about 2 cherry trees, again, to frame the building. And as we move through this, in part of this idea about horticulture identity, we're trying to build a catalog of trees that are going to be used and repeated in pattern throughout the campus. We've done this already at some of the residences that are already along Mercer Street. So some of the trees that you will see this evening have already been planted and have begun that list. This is our first suggestion to use the Acabona cherry. But you'll see that coming back again as we move through the presentations.
I'm going to see if the virtual laser pointer works here. Okay. So as far as the front step is concerned, currently the front steps to the home, and I'm going to back up a slide, are consolidated, the actual porch steps, but what's left, I suppose, of the concrete walkways were bifurcated or split kind of around a little planting area. And then, as is one of Ms. Kim's comment, but with apologies that we didn't think in advance to put a photo here, there were 2 sidewalk extensions into the street. And so I think one of her comments was, well, how do we address those? And if it's the board's desire to join us in consolidating, and again, so desire to have one, if any, frankly, sidewalk connection to the street, I'd be happy to consolidate that. It is interesting, and I don't know how often those are actually used anymore for access to the streets, but it certainly either repurposing the existing ones in a consolidated way to match a revised singular stairs as proposed, or if the board's preference would be for us to keep the stairs separate, then we obviously have those match as well. Again, from a landing perspective, similar to the other stairs that we're talking about, we did provide schematics for both concrete and these as well, and a bluestone treads
Although, could we go back, Ryan, could we go back one slide? If you look at the photo with the dimensions of the concrete path, right above the dimensions, the reason for changing this at all is that right now the concrete has opened a gap between the steps and the landing. And so when we thought about making the repair, we thought, again, in the interest of reducing impervious paving and creating more green space in front of the building, it would be desirable to just have one smaller path leading to the landing of both.
So, again, attempt to keep things as simple as possible. That is the program proposed for 1517. I'm going to move next to our next slide, which would be 19 Alexander, which I believe we're up to 5.
Yes.
Okay. Similar program to this one, but with a couple of other elements that we've seen both from 44 and the house next door. So we'll show you some more detailed pictures, but again, the revision of the apron sidewalk to the concrete. This is something, again, as noted in the overview, this property has a retaining wall that with the steps kind of built through it. The desire from the seminary is to, and we'll look at it in more detail in another slide, bring the stairs up to a safe situation with proper handrails that are in the right locations and go to all the steps and are the right height. We had not, honestly, till the comments, considered removing the retaining wall. That's something we'd be open to discussing with the board, but to, again, replace the steps with concrete with consistent risers and treads, either in concrete or with the bluestone as we propose as an alternate. The new rails would be sized to code. The current ones are 30 inches, which is not tall enough for code, and do not, we'll step into it and see a little bit more detail, do not actually get to the bottom riser because they stopped short of it and are actually kind of, rather than in the stairs, are in the retaining wall. And then we have an example of the same wood fence at the rear of the property, but street facing, but at the kind of flanking the property. We'll show you where that goes. And there is a reference to an aluminum fence. Those would be along the side property lines in the rear. We don't believe visible, but the idea would be to have something that helps allow these spaces to be used a little bit more privately by the occupants, but in a way that we don't believe would be visible from the street or intrusive. So first, if we want to start with the plantings that we're looking at here.
Actually, I'm going to start with the steps and the walk, if I may.
Sure.
So this slide better shows the reason that we are suggesting widening the stair to match the width of the existing landing, so that it can continue down from the steps of the house, and then we can put the railings in the steps so that you can safely traverse down to the sidewalk. The existing steps are damaged. The stone is damaged, although any stone that we could save, we would save for reuse. We're proposing concrete, although there is an alternate to do bluestone-clad steps instead. The trees that we are suggesting here is just one tree on the one side of property that would complement, it would be another stellar pink that would complement the existing Cornus Florida that's already on the site.
And let's see if I can get the pointer's back. So this, where the star is, this kind of flank between the home and the property line would be where the wood fence would be proposed, the kind of perpendicular portion of it, and then the portion along the property lines and the rear would be proposed to be the aluminum fencing.
And regarding the conversation about the retention wall, right to, on the left side of the property, there's just a sloped yard coming down from grade down, being sloped down to the sidewalk. If the board is interested in having that wall removed, we could easily do the same thing here because we don't have any trees that would be impacted. So we could just let that turf slope gently down to grade.
And the revised design of the slightly wider steps is to allow the railings to actually be placed within the steps rather than on that retaining wall, so that actually would potentially accommodate the, I'll say the removal, but if that's the board's desire, actually that would fit and would be similar to the other proposed stair down the street, which is essentially stairs with a grassy area rather than a retaining wall. Our next slide for 19, this shows again, so probably the same photo that we saw before, but the apron area that we propose to replace with concrete. And then our attempt to show where that wood fence would be, this is zoomed in, would be screened but partially visible from the streetscape. But as you know, between the house, that side location where the fence would, the wood fence would come out from the rear of the house along the property line. Just take a look. There was a typo actually on the topographical survey where I think this home was listed in the body of the house as 16 versus 19. So obviously we will certainly correct that. The stair riser I think we addressed, which is to essentially allow the railings to be incorporated into the stairs rather than the retaining wall, which would also help facilitate if there's a different idea with the retaining wall as well. Did talk about comment 4, which is the modern construction about the retaining wall. I think from our perspective, the retaining wall, the proposal for the retaining wall to rebuild it is an extensive one. So we're certainly not opposed at all to regrading the property to remove it. When we talked about it, it seemed that perhaps either keeping it and rebuilding it close to what it is now as proposed or removing it would make sense. We couldn't quite wrap our heads around a kind of in-between with a much smaller, I'm sure something could be figured out, but ultimately it would be a lot of storm and drainage work to kind of or perhaps for the first time do footings for a proper wall, but with only a small amount of it might not make as much sense. We talked about the steps and landing. The current height for the railing is just not up to code, and the proposal would allow it to be a safe height, so that we would very much like to, and maybe from a construction perspective, required to go to that higher height. Comment 7 is one that might make its way to several of these applications. I don't want anyone to think that we're proposing Belgian block anywhere. That is an artifact from Princeton's design detail that they like to have on plans. So on some of the newer plans that we actually kind of crossed it out and blacked it out so there'd be no question that that's not what we're proposing, but that was just an attempt in the technical drawings to take Princeton's design guide, which has a Belgian block option, but that is not at all what we're looking to do, to be clear. And then we talked about the two fence options, one which would be visible and match the 44 Mercer, and one that we don't believe would be visible and kind of designed to not be so, frankly, if it were. And then again with the driveway aprons, as with all of these, we would be reusing as much as we possibly could for other adjacent repairs along the street in the area. The last one, item 9, this is not something I think any of us caught, but Elizabeth certainly noticed. We believe, and correct me if we're wrong in our interpretation here, Elizabeth, that the There is, and with my pointer here, this, the extension from the sidewalk to the street had never been lined up, it sounds like, with the stairs. And that's its current condition. We weren't going to move it. If the board desired, we probably could straighten it or kind of have it line up with the stairs, or remove it if it doesn't make sense to have there at all. But that was not something that our team had caught. I believe that is it for 19. Moving on to 25, 27, which I think we're up to 6.
Yes.
Excuse me. Again, as with the other properties, this one has the replacement of this sidewalk and apron. We'll get in a little bit more detail with the steps. This would be, I think, a good visualization or understanding of what we just talked about. If we were to lose the retaining wall, we'd probably end up with steps similar to what we're talking about with this application, but to replace those steps with ones that have, again, consistent risers and treads that are for safety, and with a appropriate railing for safety as well. And then again, similar treatment with the wood fence on the rear flanks of the property to create some privacy. Not particularly visible. We'll show that slide again that shows, how far back it is, but then with the aluminum fencing in the not visible parts of things behind, and then updates with the Stellar Pink dogwood. So now I'll turn it over for kind of the more specific tour.
Well, I think you pretty much hit all the points. So just the location, again, the location of another Stellar Pink dogwood in front of this house.
And then looking to the center, that's the current kind of partially dry stacked, and this goes to the retaining wall next door. Started off likely as just dry stacked, and over time there'd been some mortar kind of put in there as repairs. Again, the proposal here would be to replace these stairs with the concrete or the bluestone with more consistent treads, as we showed in the schematics, and a proper railing for safety. But if the board were so inclined, as we talked about next door, this would ultimately be the type of stairs that I think the vision would be for 19 as well, if the retaining wall were to go away.
I don't think we've mentioned yet, as far as the railing, what we were proposing is that the railings would match the new railings that just went on the renovated homes. So it would be consistent the whole way down the walk.
Yep. Likely the railing on the lack of railing, predated people looking at that, and it's code now, and we'd like to bring it up to code. We're not quite sure why it was built that way, but likely, I want to say not a lot of thought went into it, but ultimately this was a kind of a dry stack steps that came together over the years, and code has certainly changed. Again, bluestone consistently we'll repurpose as much as we can. I believe you have the height of the risers for the replacement steps?
Well, the idea, all these stairs are a little bit different. So the overall intent is that there be the same number of stairs that there is now at each property, but they would be divided equally. So I think we're tending toward a 6-inch riser, but it would vary a little bit based on the specific topography for each house.
As with the last application, we are not proposing any Belgian block. That's just kind of a design detail, but certainly we're happy to revise, mark up, condition to make it absolutely clear that won't make its way into a final project. Maybe the last thing is if we want to just address the location of the ornamental tree. That's comment 9 from the memo.
Yeah, again, the intent is that it frames the building rather than blocking the window, so we would adjust it accordingly.
And again, like the property before it, the wood fencing would be while rear, street fronting, facing, and the aluminum would be limited to the side lot lines, and we believe not visible. Again, because the spot between the buildings. This slide shows on the right where that fence would kind of be. Now there's, we won't be removing those trees that kind of block it a bit, but that's the idea, that it's at the rear of the home, kind of creating that backyard area for the occupants of the home. And then again, the particular stones from this piece, some of which might be salvageable from this particular property. Next, we're going to 29 Alexander, which I believe we're up to 7. This has a lot of the same elements that we've talked about with the not having any retaining walls and or stone hard skate steps, but introducing between this property, literally between this one and 31, this concept of whether you call it a shared driveway or pathway. This is I'm going to say major thoroughfare. That's probably not fair, but this is a walking path that seminarians and people in this community use to get around campus. So it has some additional challenges that other driveways or sidewalks don't have. Again, we've got the apron replacement, the fences that we've talked about that match the 44 Mercer, and then these low voltage lights at a very warm temperature with very low spillage. We believe that these would be extremely low impact or visibility, but just the bare minimum to allow for safe passage for people using it as a walkway, which is unique for homes that are in a residential style but are part of an institution. This does have a tree removal, and we would propose replace a crab apple with a dogwood, and then on this side of the shared driveway for new trees.
So just another comment about the lights. They're only 22 inches tall, and I think the next slide shows the pattern of illumination. So it's a 7-foot radius to get down to 0.01 foot candles. So again, we're looking for just putting a soft glow for people walking along, making sure they can traverse this safely.
The proposed fixture, which is and I'm going to apologize, I'm going to be very careful not to use words that are actual lighting terms. We did look with the manufacturer. This is a dark sky style fixture. Whether it's been certified or not, we're not quite sure. But the idea of this is to point all the light down and to be shielded with very minimal and at the same time warm lighting. Perhaps I want to talk a little bit about, we have marked out here the locations of the proposed trees, both from a spacing and how they would, physically, I'll use the word thrive, but, be successful in living there in that location.
So again, the planting areas here are not as narrow as we saw at 44. I think the one side it's a little over 6, and the other side it's a little over 8. And so we're talking about having the Ilex Dragon Lady be planted against the building on either side to sort of give you a promenade as you walk into campus.
Just going through some of the other comments, again, like all the other ones, may not have been mentioned in every application, but consistently, and I'll move to the next slide so we can see more. The idea would be if any of these slates are usable, that we would, of course, salvage them and use them either as spares or elsewhere on the sidewalk in the area. Location of plants. Did we talk about comment 3, the location of the dogwood in front?
It would replace the crabapple that's there now that is in poor condition, but it would be moved away from the step a little bit more. Again, the idea is that it would complement the existing dogwood that's going to remain. So they'd be planted there in a bit of a cluster that would leave the front of the building clear to view.
And I thought we had a photo of that, but it may have dropped off here. If it's not too jarring, I'm going to go back to the beginning of the presentation, just so we can get a front facade of 29.
So
And
that's, yeah, that would be the crabapple. Again, it's in poor health, and the idea is that the new tree would be planted more to the side of the house to frame the house.
You know, with apologies, I'm going to zoom back. We're in I guess we're in part of A1 now, just for the record, and it's back to 7. Just make sure we got all the rest of the comments here. I think so, but we'll perhaps address in conjunction with 31 when we get to the next property, I guess I'll say the pathway design. You know, it's probably best to talk about them when we talk about 31 collectively, I suppose. So getting to the last home, 31 Alexander, furthest to the left in our right to left travel down the street. This, I believe, we're up to 8 for these slides. Again, this one, like the others, has the apron replacement and the reuse of the slates. It does have a wood fence, again, in the back to kind of frame the rear of the property. And in this particular case, there's, because it is a common walkway, we do feel it's important to have a little bit more privacy there for these occupants. So this is a wood fence proposed in that area, even though it might not be visible from the street. And then we've got the 4 dragon ladies on the side of the home along the walkway, as well as 2 cherries in the front, and a similar lighting pattern here. We've got our next slide. You can see where the trees would be planted, and the wood fence and gate, again, matching what was at 44 in the rear. Perhaps maybe now's the time to just kind of address the landscaping as between 29 and 31. It is kind of a joint area.
Yeah, just the idea that it's kind of a classic gesture to frame a walkway with the same plant on either side. Again, we want to leave it simple and elegant, and then softly lit for safety.
And again, a similar comment I think that you made to 29, but the size and types of these trees and the locations, you know, designed, I suppose, not to hide anything, and also with enough size and space that these will be successful in this location.
The other comment regarding sustainability is the hedges that were removed here were invasive species, so we feel that that's a good environmental gesture as well.
Just go through the other comments here. Just go back. With the proposed front locations, I believe our intent is certainly to frame the house, not to block it, but certainly happy to discuss the locations of the trees. And the note about there's, I think, possibly an extraneous sheet for the other type of fencing that is not being used on this, and we certainly will remove that. Finally, just because we have them here, I think we've got a few other streetscape slides. These are common to all of the applications, and we have them here in case it's helpful for the board to see. But you know, starting, we went right to left. Now we'll go left to right at 31 to see the existing streetscapes of 31. And 29, again, that crabapple in front that we discussed, 25, 27, and 19. Again, the The two that would have, again, if we were to lose the retaining wall at 19, similar stair treatments. 15, 17, and here in this photo, you can see that kind of bifurcated path, I suppose, to the street that either could be consolidated or kept in place. And then at 44 Mercer, a photo that shows the prior attempts at screening the parking and where we would propose to have an extension of the wood fence for screening. But again, open to other options and discussions there just to make sure that the uniquely exposed parking area on the street is covered in a way. So with that, I think we've gotten our presentation out there.
Great.
Thank you for listening, for all the excellent comments from Ms. Kim, and I'm happy to answer any questions or as we go forward. Thank you.
Great, thank you. All right, I do want to check with the commission members first. Questions, and let's start with 44. Are there questions or comments on 44? And I guess we could talk about some of the general things as well, like the apron materials and stairs. So, and as far as the removal of hedges prior to this, they were all boxwoods, they were all invasive?
The hedges that were at 29 and 31 were euonymus and privet, both of which are invasive, so those were removed. There was also, in the front of 44, there was a large euonymus and a privet hedge, which also were removed.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I'm opening it up for comments. If anyone has questions on 44.
I have some questions.
Sure.
I wanted to ask about 44 Mercer. So how many cars does that parking lot, how many cars does it fit?
There's 4.
4? Okay. And then, so is there going to be a gate somehow? So you're proposing to put the fencing all around, just extend the fencing? There's not going to be a gate? Just the front. Just the front? Oh, that's what I thought. Okay, so they can just drive in? All right.
The
just wanted
intent
to
is
make
just
sure.
to screen that, because clearly that lot is not in keeping with the residential character for the rest of the street.
Mhm.
But the fence would not extend across the driveway, if
Okay,
that's
I understand.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, other questions about 44? Can you use the microphone?
My comments were more general to everything. I didn't break them out that way, except for, well, 15, 17 at the end. I can talk about that individually. Do you want to?
Yep, just go ahead.
Okay. I'm curious about the horticultural identity that was spoken about for the campus. Was that developed using any historical records or data or archaeology?
I'm sorry, I don't know if I understand your question.
That you mentioned that there was the creation of a horticultural identity for the campus. Was that based on research, or is it entirely new?
No, it was based on an earlier discussion about how difficult it is to identify the seminary as distinct from Princeton, as distinct from ordinary homes, and what could be done in a reasonable fashion to try to delineate it without fencing the whole thing. And so the thought was to use plants, because the campus has a lot of beautiful plants that complement the beautiful architecture, but to repeat them in a way that they're clearly visible. So at a certain time of year, all the dogwoods along the perimeter of the campus would be blooming, and you'd know you were at the seminary. Now, we've just started putting this into place, but that's the idea.
Okay. I just was curious.
Okay.
I mean, there are a lot of the campuses in town have had some very famous architects and planting schemes and sidewalk plans associated with them. I didn't know if there was anything that harkens back to that, but I get the idea of trying to unify with some really beautiful planting materials that do very well here. The dogwood season in Princeton is gorgeous. My next question or comment was again about landscape treatment, and just to say that hardscape, especially when you're, that it's been saved, reused, repurposed, and I think it has a wonderful ability to help the pedestrian experience the campus and just what bits of history still exist. And I think that's a very good thing. I'm very, very pleased to hear, and it could be both just a ecological, economical background, but saving as much of the slate, reusing it as possible is just really a very good thing. And I think, this I guess does relate to one property in particular, but the lighting that you want to put in that path that leads from Alexander Street to Miller Chapel is I think, a smart thing, and it seems like the fixture that's been chosen is as low-key and appropriate as possible without it being so low-key that people might trip over it. So I think that's a good choice. And then when we get to 1517, I'll ask about that.
All right, thanks. I'm going to open it up. Anyone else? Shirley?
Yeah, I just wonder why it's taking so long to fix these sidewalks and the steps. Usually the historic houses have older people who have lived there for so long. And it really is a hazard, especially the one in the middle that has the step and the sidewalks. And I know there might be younger people there also who would have the same problem. And then the retaining wall. You said you were going to remove that retaining wall?
We'd certainly
One
be,
of the retaining walls?
we'd be open to removing it if that's the board's preference.
Because it might be, if you repaired it, would be better, because if you remove it, that's sort of where the water comes down to it, and the water can't come to the sidewalk if you don't keep those retaining walls there.
That's actually a very good point. We're open to either. You know, our proposal was to rebuild, and as part of rebuilding it, it's pretty expansive. You know, there would be a drainage situation necessary to make the wall actually function properly. So that would.
Well, although I will say that the front of the property is fairly level right now, so that the amount of water that would be coming down would just be for the extent of that slope, which would not be a tremendous amount of water. Not to say that it wouldn't flow down to the sidewalk, but it would just be a little bit that's coming down that bank. So I just want to make it clear that we're not suggesting that the wall might be removed if it were going to create some sort of stormwater issue.
Right,
Thank you.
thanks. Maria, you had a question again?
I have sort of a comment and a question. So in terms of dealing, like, you know, the Princeton Seminary campus is absolutely gorgeous. It's really beautiful. And in terms of delineating sort of that beautiful area, perhaps something like a concrete apron, but the slate sidewalk throughout for that whole area might make a lot of sense. It would be really beautiful, I think. And I also was wondering whether for all of these houses, you would consider, instead of like doing the wood fence and then the aluminum fence, just doing shrubbery and more trees instead. Because again, the beauty of it is such, you obviously don't want people walking into your backyard necessarily, right? But I feel like it would really sort of break down that, you know, feeling of, you know, that beautiful expanse that you have there. So, and I wondered whether you were thinking that maybe instead of, you know, the wood fence, instead of the aluminum, you could give people more privacy, but actually just planting more, you know, behind those houses. And looking at the Google Maps, I don't know how current that is, looking at kind of like the backyards of these properties, there seem to be quite a few plants, quite a few trees there already.
So are you suggesting that you would rather see hedges rather than fence? Is that your point?
I think so.
Again, as Our conversations about horticulture on the campus have really tended toward trees, both for simplicity and also to make sure that we're not proposing anything that the staff is not able to keep up with. They don't have a large horticulture staff. We want to make sure that we're not putting in anything that won't be maintained to a proper level.
One other, and I pulled up one of the slides that shows the area map, just as a reminder, I suppose, that while these are residential-style buildings, they do back to a campus with parking areas and other more institutional buildings. So at times, the physical barrier for a seminary resident looking to have a backyard experience might be more helpful or necessary than in another type of situation. Also, I think that excellent point about the slates. Unfortunately, on the sidewalk portion of the apron, I guess if the apron is the part that goes between sidewalk and street, and the actual sidewalk that abuts the apron, that's the part that's gotten the worst beating, unfortunately, and kind of drove the physical need to look for a different material. And it's just unfortunately not holding up. And from walking through the neighborhood, there's really only one or two examples of slates across driveways anymore, likely for that reason.
All right, thanks. How about on this side, Charlotte, or not Charlotte, Emily?
Yes, I would like to address the issue of the bluestone on the driveways. Well, at the moment, both sides of Alexander Street, from Mercer all the way down to Stewart Hall, are continuous bluestone sidewalks. On the other side of Alexander Street, the east side, there are only two driveways, and both of those driveways have bluestone on the driveway portion. It does all appear to be newer bluestone. It's not as old as the bluestone on the other side, but it is all completely intact. And I think that there is a photograph circulating around of the driveway into what's called Stedman Alley, which is on the other side of Alexander Street. And that driveway actually serves 9 houses on Mercer Street and on Alexander Street. So it's not just the traffic for one house or a couple of houses, it's massive traffic, including garbage trucks, construction trucks, and it's believed that that bluestone was put in 1985. So it has survived extremely well for at least 40 years. So I would urge people to consider putting in, where needed, new bluestone properly set, so that there could continue to be continuous bluestone sidewalks on both sides of Alexander Street. I think everybody knows it's one of the most intact historic streets in Princeton, and the streetscape itself is an essential part of the historic district. So that would be my concern, and hope that it could be done.
We're just looking for a photograph.
Oh, okay.
We should probably mark this in as an exhibit.
So this came from one of our,
Yes, so we can mark this as, what do you usually mark commission exhibits as? Well, they have everything. Do you
should we
want-
do H for?
H, yeah, let's do
for H
H1.
For HBC?
Yep,
Okay,
perfect.
all right.
I think they do. I think I see them.
Yeah, they have a copy.
Apologies, so this photo we're marking as,
H1.
got it.
All right, so I don't know if you need some time to respond to that, or if you want to come back to that?
We want to get through the other comments, we can come back to that.
Okay. Are there other comments about the retaining wall or other materials?
Well, I'll just add that I would like to advocate for the, I guess, the bluestone covering on the any replacement steps rather than the concrete. I certainly think that that would help maintain the historic character of the street.
Okay, thanks. Roger, you had any comments?
No, I agree with Emily on maintaining the bluestone. I also like the retaining wall. It's a little quirky, it's individualized, it gives some character to the neighborhood. I personally like to see that rebuilt.
All right, other feelings about that retaining wall?
Well, I agree about the retaining wall. I think it's part of the point I was trying to make about finding these various different pieces of hardscape from previous times. Gives a lot of character, definition.
So you'd rather have them repair, I mean, they're not going to rebuild the retaining wall, but they would repair it?
Well, what's shown on the drawing is actually to disassemble and reassemble because it's bellying out and failing in many locations. So if the idea is to keep it, we would like to rebuild it so that it's stable.
Right. And now, Elizabeth, I don't know, maybe you have a comment on that because you said that is a later addition from the 40s maybe, or?
Right, so that retaining wall obviously is a modern construction, and I guess if you look at the streetscape of all the other properties along Alexander Street, you could see that that building is really not any higher, and I think for them to kind of work with it, and at that time it was probably a simple solution. I think that they probably made it dry laid, it's not concrete laid. You know, that was common that they would do that. And you can also tell by the angle of the wall as it goes around the driveway too that it was newer. So for consistency, I thought it would be a good idea if they could lower it, but I think that what the applicant's saying is that they would rather remove it instead of lowering it. So it's up to the board how they feel about that.
Right, and I think part of this is what era we're aiming to restore it to. I mean, I guess some of the comments are, well, if it's older than 50 years old, then it's okay because it's become part of the historic landscape, and other members might say, well, that was not really a very thoughtful addition back then. So I think there's maybe some diverse opinions on, you know, where we're trying to go with that. I do think it's not typical in the neighborhood, so I'm kind of inclined to remove it because I think it draws undue attention.
Right, and I think the other thought that I had was there's a lot of additional hardware that's being added on to the streetscape of the properties. The railings that weren't necessarily there, whether they're existing here or they're asking for add-on. And those are always dictated by the amount of steps you have. So if you can reduce those, then you can also reduce the requirement for railings.
Right.
So that's something for the HPC to consider as well.
And since the houses are primary, you know, we do want to keep in mind not detracting from the home or adding undue attention, you know. So yeah, I'm inclined to that the retaining wall kind of detracts, in my opinion, from the architecture.
Madam Chair, just I believe from our architect, though, that even with the reduced grading, that there would still need to be several treads there, and that wouldn't, in our mind, remove the need for a railing. That we wouldn't be so few treads that would be possible.
But on the other hand, as you were speaking about the integrity of the entire streetscape, removing that wall would make it look more like we're trying to standardize details for the houses as they have been architecturally, so that the landscape responds in a similar fashion, and the type of step you see in one building is similar to the type of step you see in the other. And again, the retaining wall is something that's very different and big for that street. So it fights against the idea of standardizing.
And I think that maybe HPC looks at standardizing a little bit differently. I think they feel that there is always a uniqueness to each building. I mean, there are some similarities because of the period and material and style, but there are some unique features that don't necessarily warrant standardizing. But at the same time, I'd say that retaining wall is kind of modern and is not, to me, is not historically reflective of that landscape along that street.
All right. Are there other comments, questions? As far as the fencing goes, I think we've gone back and forth. Now, there isn't any vinyl. It's just aluminum or wood. That's correct? Okay. And there's an option for all of the steps to have a bluestone cladding.
Yes.
Okay. And the landscape that has been removed was invasive.
So, Madam Chair, if I just want to address that. So I think that the point of the comment was that it's a discussion that should be done with the Historic Preservation Office and not just determine that it gets removed. I mean, I don't
I appreciate
like,
you raising it
Yeah,
now, this morning.
I don't like Zelkova. They're not considered invasive, but to me, they really are. So, I mean, like, I wouldn't go out and remove it if it, if it was necessary. So I think that that's the point I want to make, that in the future, it's always good to reach out because there is a section in the ordinance that any landscape removal, alteration does require to be, to come before the Historic Preservation Office for determination.
All right, thank you. So I guess the last issue really we'll go back to are the sidewalks and the bluestone and the point that Emily had raised, and I guess if you had a response.
Sure. Yeah, why don't we have, Dennis, you want to introduce yourself? And we'll get you sworn in.
Sure. Dennis Castanon, AVP for Operations for the seminary.
Okay. Can you raise your right hand? Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Thank you.
In regards to the aprons, actually Alexander Street has 3 different driveways in addition to the ones from the seminary. The one that you pointed out, you're correct. That particular driveway is intact and is in excellent condition. The second one has several bluestone pieces that are damaged. And actually, the third one, which is 26 Alexander Street on your right bottom, is actually concrete. So we're not stepping away from what actually is already existing. All of Edge Hill, which is still on the Mercer Hill Street, all of the driveways that have slate sidewalks have concrete aprons. So we basically want to make sure that the vehicles that we use, because it's not only the individuals that live in those units, the seminary actually has larger vehicles that sometimes we have to go into those driveways and might potentially damage them. We have plows that have to go into those areas. So we want to make sure that, again, for the residents and also the community members, the sidewalks are actually clear without any damaged bluestone. So that's the main reason why.
And maybe just as a follow-up, so Dennis, in your experiences maintaining a campus, is there additional things you could have explored that would let you believe that the concrete is a better material for this location?
Well, obviously, a lot of the materials that we use are eco-friendly, but unfortunately, they're not, bluestone, unfortunately, is not very helpful. I mean, Mara has more experience working with a lot of campuses around the East Coast, and she could speak a little bit more on that if she wants to.
Yeah, in my experience, I have never used bluestone in a driveway application. I've used it in a walkway application, in a plaza application where the only vehicles that would be using that would be a fairly light-duty snow removal type vehicle. But driveway aprons take a lot of abuse, so that's not my experience.
So I guess in your experience, what you see in the neighborhood is either what you see of the concrete or broken slates is consistent with your experience in this material across your work?
Yeah, the only other, Belgian block can be used successfully as a driveway apron, although that doesn't seem to be the standard vocabulary around here. I see it a lot on driveways in, say, Villanova.
Yeah, I agree. I think Belgian block would be completely out of character in this neighborhood. It has such a suburban feel to it. All right, so let's see. So are there other questions? If not, I think we should open it up to the public for comment. Is there a microphone that they could use? All right. Yep. So if there's anyone from the public who would like to comment on any of these 6 applications, yeah, go ahead.
I'm representing the Mercer Hill Historic District Association. My name is Christopher Olson. I'm reading a letter from the president of the Mercer Hill Historic District Association because she was not able to be here. And this letter apparently could not be received unless it was read in public. So that's what I'm here to do. Written
Sorry,
on...
Elizabeth, what,
Do we need to swear the public in? Or
do we need to, okay.
Oh, sorry. We should swear him in.
Okay.
Can you raise your right hand? Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give this evening is the whole truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
Yes, I do. The letter is dated October 15th.
With apologies, I don't mean to interrupt, but just before you start, though, just to be, is this the speaker's testimony, or is he reading a letter from someone else?
Yeah, he's reading a letter into the record from the president of the Mercer Hill Historic District Association.
Okay. I'm not going to ask that it not happen, but I believe that is the definition of hearsay.
I think he is here representing
Okay.
the Historic District Association as a whole. As
All right,
the letter came from not her personally, but as the president.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Allowed to proceed
Go
now?
ahead. Yep.
The memo to Elizabeth Kim, Princeton Historic Preservation Officer, Julie Capozzoli, Chair, Historic Preservation Commission, David Schur, Vice Chair, Historic Preservation Commission, and Historic Preservation Commission, HPC. Regarding the applications of the Princeton Theological Seminary, I won't repeat all the addresses, but it's everything that's been presented this evening. Dear Ms. Kim and Princeton Historic Preservation Commission, as president of the Mercer Hill Historic District Association, I'm writing to you today because I am away from Princeton and cannot attend the October 20th HPC meeting. First, I would like to commend Princeton Theological Seminary for the historic preservation work they are currently undertaking on Alexander Street, Lenox House, and Payne Hall. The area of Alexander Street before Mercer Street is a highly significant historic gateway into Princeton, as both sides of Alexander Street have houses all built from the 1830s to 1840s. Walking down both sides of the street from Payne Hall on the east and Stewart Hall on the west to Mercer Street, the sidewalks are continuous bluestone. On the seminary side, the bluestone is in need of repair in places, but the majority of it is intact and contributes to the historic significance and ambiance of this unique historic section of Alexander Street. The bluestone truly enhances the historic district, especially in this high foot and car traffic area of Princeton. As per the town's historic preservation ordinance, the MHHDA would like to respectfully ask our PTS neighbors to restore the bluestone sidewalks, including the sidewalk area at the driveways, and bluestone front entranceways, or replace in kind. We would also ask that PTS please look at the driveway apron and sidewalk at the entrance to Stedman Alley to the left of 14 Alexander Street. This driveway entrance is a combination of bluestone and Belgian block that was restored the last time Alexander Street was repaved, about 15 to 20 years ago. And the bluestone is in the driveway area is still in very good condition, even though cars for 9 residences and many heavy trucks come in and out of the alley. If bluestone is laid on top of a hard base versus dirt, it is stable. Please note, concrete slabs can also crack under the weight of cars and trucks. At 19 and 2527 Alexander Street, the bluestone steps are in need of repair, but the bluestone landings are mostly in good or very good condition, with one slab in need of replacement at 25 Alexander. Both steps and landings at 19 and 2527 Alexander Street greatly enhance the historic character of these highly significant Greek Revival houses designed in the 1830s by Charles Stedman. We kindly urge PTS to restore these bluestone entranceways. Regarding fences, we would highly recommend continuing to use wood and not aluminum, as wood fencing is compatible and appropriate within the historic district and already used or planned for 44 Mercer Street and 29 Alexander Street. Many thanks for your consideration of the MHHDA concerns and requests. Sincerely, Carolyn. Carolyn Robertson, President, Mercer Hill Historic District Association.
Okay, thank you.
Can I add one personal comment as
Yes.
an observer from across the street? Much of the damage to the bluestone sidewalks at the aprons to the houses on Alexander Street, I've witnessed huge dumpsters being pushed into the properties, and admittedly, Alexander Street is a very narrow street, but much of that damage was done during the demolition of those houses. And the contracts, I would think, would have included repairing damage done by their demolition contractors. That was both damage to the bluestone sidewalks and some of the curbs, and that's extraordinary construction that happens very, very rarely. But that damage was not what you see today 2 years ago. So thank you.
All right, thank you. All right. Hi, Joe.
Hi, Joe Butler, 18 Hibben Road. Yes,
Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth to the best of your knowledge?
yes,
Thank you.
thank you. I really wasn't intending to speak on this, but I just want to comment on the fence on 44, extending it. I appreciate that they want to, I guess, obscure or disguise the cars. It's not the right word. But I'm afraid it's a little bit of a hazard because it does block the view. That's a single-lane driveway coming out of the back of that. And I think having a solid fence, certainly for school children, younger people, I think it's a safety hazard. And I really would prefer if they could put in greenery. I understand the issue that it's more to take care of, but it does seem like from cars entering and exiting, it would be better to view. Is it, I appreciate that they want to disguise those cars, but it's just a few, and they're cars. I mean, it's a parking lot. So it's a good effort, but at 91 Mercer, they have cars parked in the yard in front of the house. So, I mean, for those cars that are parked behind the house, it doesn't seem like it's really necessary, unless they can get the people from 91 Mercer to park their car there instead of the front yard. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Did you guys want to respond to the letter or the public comments?
Just very briefly, Dennis, just one follow-up question. I know you've been looking at these sidewalks for years, well before even the construction project started. And the condition or the failing nature, is that what we showed the board here tonight consistent with your experience over the last couple years, even before construction had started?
Yes. However, obviously, yes, we actually looked at the driveway aprons well before the construction began, because there were several pieces that were damaged well before the project started. I do agree that several of them were additionally damaged, and we're looking to not only replace the slate on the other sections of the sidewalk, because again, we want to make sure that the sidewalks are easy for community members to be able to walk, but specifically, again, on the driveways, we just want to make sure that the size vehicles that we use, because again, we're an institution, we just don't have regular vehicles. We have some heavy equipment that sometimes has to be used, since our staff actually manage the landscape on all these homes. It's not an outside contractor that does it, it's the seminary staff that does it, and the vehicles that we have range anywhere from 2-ton vehicles to a 4-ton vehicle, depending on the work that we're doing. So we want to make sure that, again, those walkways are safe for everybody, including our residents that will be there, as well as community members. And again, this is something, an application that has been done throughout Princeton. I personally walked, I think, the town a few times to make sure that we were not uniquely disturbing or doing something that was not already done in the district. So that's all I want to say. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right. Elizabeth, did you have any further? Okay.
Just one thing. We're certainly open to, as we said during the presentation, the screening techniques. Certainly interested in input on how best to do that. We had kicked around also, while our proposal was to use the same type of panel. If you'll notice or recall that there was a top and a bottom portion, perhaps just using the bottom portion or some other treatment. Our desire is to screen what is not a residential style parking area from the street, and there are lots of ways to do that, and we'd be certainly open to feedback on other ways to do that.
Okay, thank you. All right, well, maybe we need to go specifically now, property by property. So starting with 44 Mercer, I think other than the bluestone, as far as the wall goes,
You mean the fence?
The fence. As far as the wooden fence goes, I see the issue on safety and visibility, and also, I don't know if extending the fence makes it better. So, I don't know, other comments on that?
I do have a comment, and it does have to do with like the historic character of downtowns and how things are built closely together. I work at an office at 4 Nassau Street, which has a tall brick wall along the side of the driveway, all the way out to the street. And if we didn't have kind of constant reminder within the building as good tenants of that space to look in that mirror and make sure we don't cause a problem with pedestrians, it's a very real problem. And I think that Joe brings up a good point. I guess in the past, there was the other agency, the other commission that would look at turning radiuses and safety, that I guess some of that responsibility is now ours.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to ignore that point that was just brought up by the public. I don't know what to do about it, but I would say from my own experience, driving into that driveway for many years, that I still come out there and stomp on the brakes, that I've forgotten to look carefully enough, or some kid is on a little scooter going faster than his parents realize, and it would just be horrible. Would a lower fence with still that see-through top give some of the shielding that I think is nice that you want to provide, be another option? I just feel sitting here, I can't be silent on that, so there are my thoughts. Thank you.
Right, any other points of debate about the application for 44? Yes, Elizabeth.
So just to kind of follow the vein of the fence, I'm just wondering, is the applicant opposed to using plant material to serve as visual buffer? Is there, what's the strong
As we said,
desire?
we're open to,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Again, I think that we are open to either option. I think that with shrubbery, we'll have the same kind of concerns in regards to the blocking of the road. Maybe a compromise is actually, instead of putting 2 panels, just putting 1 panel on one side, making still visible, and you have now about 6 feet, I think, or 8 feet of view for any pedestrian that might be coming down the road. So if you look at that image right now, you would fit 2 8-foot panels in there. So maybe the compromise is just putting 1 panel, leaving the other half open. So again, anybody that's driving in or out are able to see pedestrians on the sidewalk.
So I guess the question I have is, you're proposing at the same height as the other one, which is 6 feet. And it doesn't really need to be 6 feet to screen the parking area. And as David said, perhaps you could put a lower one, or maybe, as I recommended, maybe some vegetation. And again, either one does not have to go to the edges the way that you had originally designed it. Both options could bring it back. Again, I mean, I'm looking for an opportunity to have less hardscape, if you could do with planting. Walking along that property from the corner of Mercer down to Alexander, I just feel that there's a wall of that fence there. And it just feels like that my view shed is narrowed to just the right-of-way, and it's not allowing the vistas to go beyond it, especially if you have a higher fence. So if there's an opportunity to lower it and add greenery, I mean, that would be my recommendation.
One other comment I do want to say is that we do have an electric charger for the resident in the back that you clearly see. And by putting at least 1 fence panel, it will kind of hide that fact from anybody else. With shrubbery, obviously during the winter and fall, or late fall, that still will be visible for people. And so we want to give them that little privacy, at least for their vehicles.
Okay. Yes.
Sorry. I almost feel like we're working very hard to hide something that's not particularly offensive. It's a few cars, and there are a few cars parked on the street. And I'm wondering if, it's going to actually look more out of character to do 1 panel or half height, or, maybe choose the safest option. Have nothing and I don't know, I find the fence sort of out of character with the streetscape in general, but.
All right. Well, as David said, I think we have the burden of not just the aesthetics, but the safety as well. And I think the concern is that keeping it open might just be a safer option.
Madam Chair, might it be possible to have a condition that would have the town's engineer take a look at it for assistance? I mean, this has been, it's a challenging process. You know, we kind of have been at this for a couple of months, but only just at this moment kind of get to think about and react. You know, and in another
Right.
application, we'd be saying, well, let's, and I'm not suggesting this, you know, have a landscape subcommittee look
Right.
at it and figure out this detail.
Right.
Obviously, that is not what we're suggesting, but ultimately, if there's an opportunity for, you know, if there is a safety or view shed issue, not view shed, view, site triangle issue, it would be helpful to get some feedback on that.
So are you proposing that the applicant have an opportunity to talk to the engineer and then come back to HPC on this one?
I'm saying that a condition of approval could be that could be finalized with engineering and the final detail, similar to what we might do in a larger application.
I guess it depends on how the HPC views whether putting a fence or no fence or planting.
Right.
You
I
know.
think if it were planting, I don't think there would be any question that it would be safer. And I think the point was that having just one panel is kind of awkward looking. So is it possible that we could make a condition that there be some kind of planting there, screening instead of a fence?
If we look at the orange scrim that's up there, whether it's fencing or planting, it's still going to obscure a sight line. So I think the material is not the issue so much as the height and the extent of the screen, if any. I think that's the question.
Mm-hmm.
Then to Charlotte's point, where she says that she feels nothing is really needed. That kind
I think this street, while, you know, in some ways it appears to be residential, it is part of a campus, and so it's a bit of a different condition. It's, and which to me allows for a few cars in one place, you know.
Okay, yeah.
Understood. If that's the board's desire, then.
All right, so I get the sense that there isn't much enthusiasm for the fence. As far as the planting goes, replacing the apron and the trees, are there any comments, questions with that?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
So I'll bring up some of the points that were in the report about the landscape. Is this working? Sorry. And it's kind of repetitive to the same comments that were made for all the properties. I understand why ornamental trees are proposed. There's kind of a branding that's kind of in place for the seminary, in addition to trying to frame the building. And as a landscape architect, I understand, you know, planting and framing the house. However, historic properties are a little bit different. We don't want to hide it. I mean, they are The architecture of the building, especially many of these Stedman houses, are ones to be shared and viewed. And I think that there is opportunity to still have trees and other landscaping added. But I think that when you put it right in front of the house, that really distracts from the intention of the historic streetscape. So I would ask the HPC to really look at the placement of where they're putting those trees and also the species. So you've got the Ilex dragon lady, which is a very narrow columnar tree that can grow high. The one next to Mercer Road, as mentioned in the report, it doesn't have needles like other evergreen trees. It's a, it's a holly tree. So you've got kids going by, and there is very narrow space there. It's from like maybe 3.5 to less than that in width. And yes, it grows maybe, 4 to 5 feet wide. But at the same time, I think that you want to be cognitive of where you're putting planting and how it looks against a historic building. So does that type of plant complement or appropriate for the historic house? I think that that's something that HPC should consider. And I think that they did a good job of showing where they could place it in between windows, but the question is it the right plant for that property, and is it the right spacing also?
All right. Well, those are pretty consistent throughout all the applications. So I don't know if maybe the plans are shifted.
Ryan, could you take it to the site plan where you had the, yes, oops, back.
Right.
And did you have one with the side also? I think you had one that showed both.
For 44 Mercer?
Yes.
Yeah.
That one, yes, thank you.
Right. So the holly, so you're concerned that someone who's on the sidewalk is it's going to encroach on the sidewalk?
Well, two things. One, is it the appropriate species for the property? And two, is there enough room for it to grow properly? Because if you look at the circle, obviously there's part of it that is going to be growing towards the building, and then it's going to be at the edge of the sidewalk. So those are just the two things for HPC to consider. And I think that they addressed the one dogwood well, where they talked about why it's placed in a certain area, and it is between windows. But then I'm concerned about the, I believe it's the lilac tree in the front. Again, it's right in the front. Perhaps it could be moved on the other side of the porch. But I know that there is a street tree right there as well, correct? There's in the right-of-way, yeah. Yeah, so perhaps maybe push it back so it's more in line with the porch or close to the porch and not so much towards the street. But again, it's right in front of the building.
We're open to removal of the, if they don't want the dragon lady, we are open to not have them in those locations.
Or even a substitute plant material.
What about maybe, what about maybe like some tall hydrangeas? They're not going to obscure the house as much, and they're really beautiful. That would be really nice. And if you move them kind of like a little bit more, even like in this location, that would be okay. Or like moving them a little bit towards the edges of the house might work as well.
Maria, are you talking about the one in the front yard or the side yard planting?
This side one, the green triangles.
Okay.
I'm not sure about the overall
In front.
maintenance and seasonal appeal. I mean, I guess I don't want to micromanage their application. I think the question is, will the hollies interfere with pedestrians? And I guess I want to ask the landscape architect about that.
In my opinion, no, that they can easily be maintained to stay clear of the walk. However, as Dennis said, we're willing to eliminate the hollies if that's what the committee would prefer. But we would like to keep the flowering trees.
Right. Are there any other comments on the hollies?
I just, what is the dimension between the edge of the sidewalk and the house where the hollies are?
It's about 3.5 feet.
3.5 feet?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you just keep on top of them so they don't grow.
Well, again, we're willing to eliminate them from the plan.
All right, so if we eliminated the hollies and we eliminated the fence, would there be agreement with the rest of the application? Yeah. All right, so would there be a motion? You have to use the microphone. Oh, okay, great. Oh,
Move for approval of the plans for 44 Mercer Street with the applicant taking away the Ilex Dragon Lady, but could come back to us with a different plant that might work more socially better. And not to have the last two fence sections put in, but they could put in low-growing. Oh, that's my opinion. I was going to say low-growing landscape, but we haven't talked about that, so take it out. That's the motion.
Matt, excuse me.
Yeah.
With part of this application is their driveway. So I think the HBC has to make a determination how they want to address the treatment of the driveways, whether they're going to allow for them to put colored concrete or if they're going to want them to install new bluestone.
well, I'm looking at this photo with the drive, and there's quite a bit of block in it. And I'm wondering if,
You mean Belgian block?
yeah,
Okay, I gave mine to Ryan.
But, yeah,
Yeah,
but the
and-
bluestone
Well, no-
sidewalk is consistent with the bluestone sidewalk throughout
Right.
that side of
and I don't know if,
Alexander.
Okay, so the Belgian block serves as the driveway apron in this picture. Instead of concrete.
right, so
they've-
we're saying the apron can be concrete, but just the sidewalk, we're asking that to be slate or bluestone.
The apron is concrete now, just.
Yeah, okay. All right, so,
Oh, wait, is that apron concrete now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that
Yes.
one right there. I mean, not the apron, the sidewalk. Sidewalk is bluestone,
The
right?
apron is concrete.
Right.
The
Sidewalk
sidewalk
is
is
bluestone.
bluestone.
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
Can I make one, this might not be a popular opinion, but I actually think that if the sidewalk is where it crosses the driveway, if it is, which I think you called out, a tinted concrete, tinted to as close as you can get to bluestone, that there is an argument, I mean, the bluestone can be a little rougher underfoot, it can, it can move, and that there is an argument to have a smooth surface across the driveway where people don't, I mean, it's a safety issue in a way. Oh, where people don't even have to look down. You know, it's the smoother, you can just cross the driveway quickly without, so, anyway, yeah.
So Charlotte, you're supporting the tinted concrete?
I'm
That's-
supporting tinted concrete.
That's the color
yeah.
that's being suggested, the French gray for the tinted concrete.
All right. Okay.
This is the concrete.
All right, so,
And we should mark those samples,
yep,
because they'll, I'm sure they will go in with the
They're-
application materials somehow as Exhibit A9.
okay. So is the motion to include the tinted concrete as suggested?
I will include it in this motion so that the rest of the commission can vote it up or down.
Okay.
Just so we get a motion on the table.
All right. All right, so that's been moved by David and seconded by Charlotte.
Madam Chair, with apologies, one,
Yep.
as to the Dragon Lady, we are happy to remove them entirely. I did hear perhaps that there might be alternatives that perhaps
Right.
could be done without us fully returning in that kind of subcommittee style. If the board is considered that, we would be happy to provide more, a substitute that perhaps cannot be determined at this moment.
Is that okay if we do an administrative approval?
So either they'd be removed or there'd be an appropriate substitute chosen.
Yeah,
I'd be fine with that if HBC supports it.
okay, I support it. You're a landscape architect.
No.
Okay. All right, so,
And Shirley brings up to, well, we'll do this in discussion.
What
right,
about
that comes next, so don't worry, we're gonna vote on that.
Property by property, right?
Yeah, this is just 44.
Just so I know for that one, it's for, with regard to the driveway apron and the sidewalk that crosses over the driveway, it's to be
The tinted concrete.
tinted concrete?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what was the review at a later time for? any-
Instead of the dragon lady, it's
Holly, yeah.
another plant
Okay,
That,
to be determined.
okay.
But without having to come back to full commission.
Right, as administratively. Mhm. Okay, I think we're ready to vote.
okay, so this is 44 Mercer. If I heard correctly, remove the ILUX Dragon Lady, and for the applicant to have an opportunity to come back administratively for a different plan, and remove the fencing, and support the tinted concrete. So that's what we're voting on here. Ms. Satterfield? Okay, sorry.
Are you going to vote? Okay, Shirley's ready now.
No, that's a different property.
Okay.
We're going to pass a lot of these tonight.
Okay.
There's 44. Yeah, we got this one.
Are you guys ready?
Okay,
Okay.
all right. Ms. Satterfield?
Yes.
Mr. Shatskin?
No, on the basis of wanting to replace the bluestone in kind.
Okay. Mr. Shore?
I made the motion, it's hard to go against it. So I guess I have to say yes.
Ms. Friedman?
Yes.
Ms. Kroll?
I'm an alternate. Am I voting?
Frida's out today.
Yes.
No?
Ms. Capizoli.
Yes.
Are we supposed to ask Maria also to vote, or is it just yes?
I think Maria should vote too, since
Okay.
we are missing two.
Yeah, if you're down two, have two
Okay.
alternates.
Yes.
No.
Okay. Uh-oh. It's a tie.
All right, let's talk.
So that means it didn't pass. So
Okay.
maybe we can get another motion.
Right. So would someone else like to make a motion?
Sure, I proposed all of the same adjustments that we're making, plus replacing the sidewalk in kind with bluestone.
All right.
All right, same
But
motion as
I
previously.
just want to be clear on that one.
Yeah.
So the apron would be tinted concrete, and then the sidewalk that crosses the apron would be bluestone?
No, I think the apron
Or the
is
apron wouldn't?
regular concrete.
Would just be
right?
regular?
Just before you go, we have 7 voting members.
We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, did I count wrong? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1.
So I counted 4 yes
Oh, I'm
votes out of
sorry.
7.
I am sorry, right. I apologize, I counted wrong. There was 4 yeses and 3 nos. So the motion passed.
Okay.
My apologies.
All right. So the motion passed, so I guess we go on to 1517. And here we're talking about the landings, consolidating the landing into one landing. And then there's a cherry tree.
And the widening of that walkway on the side, too.
Oh, and widening the walkway, that's right, and widening the walkway on the side. So. Yeah, that's the motion.
Second.
Okay. So consolidate the landing, match the existing concrete, and widen the walkway. All right, I don't think I can move it.
Oh.
Yeah. All right.
Could you show that other site plan one, similar to the one you had for 44? Yes,
So
okay, that
two-
makes it easy.
I think you were about to point out whether the sidewalk extenders would be changed or consolidated, perhaps?
I guess the comment I made is that it no longer aligns when you have a consolidation, so how, maybe it doesn't bother HPC, or just wanted to bring it to their attention?
Just say, we're agnostic to that. Wasn't part of the application, but
Oh, those two little
Yeah,
strips there, which don't really serve a purpose. Can
I
we-
think it used to, when,
Yeah.
when you either got dropped off or you were
I mean,
crossing
can
the
we-
street, whatever. But I guess the question I have is, the individual properties seem to have some differential in the way that they access ingress and egress to the property. So this one, obviously, you have 2 separate walkways to a common landing, but then you do have your own stairs, 'cause I believe that there's a railing in between it. So when you come in, if you're just coming from the public right-of-way, you're centered on it, but then you have to go back out to the side of your section because all the handles on the doors are on the ends of it. I mean, not that it matters, but I'm just wondering, is there kind of a unique design to this to kind of emphasize the individuality, even though they are, you know, side-by-side duplexes? You know, just something for HBC to consider. Is it an opportunity for that small island to really have some better planting than what it's been in the past? Because most of the time it's just shrubs, you know, but there is always opportunity to do better. Or maybe HPC doesn't care. And then on the sidewalk, it's 24 inches now, and I believe that they're proposing 30 inches. 36. Oh, 36, okay. And then I guess the question I had is, you said that you were willing, now, does the seminary also own the adjoining property?
That is
Okay.
correct.
Because I know originally your application was actually to consolidate them into one, but I think that that's probably a problem, because then you have to have like an access easement. I guess Derek would have asked for that or something.
We just wanted to eliminate the one on the right, actually. 'cause right
Just
now-
altogether? Just, okay.
And because it is a access to,
Unused fire station.
yeah, that it
Emergency
doesn't,
access?
one could leave there and just walk on the grass. It doesn't need to be
Okay.
paved.
So will you be coming back to ask for that to be removed? Or,
That's a whole different application, so if you wanted to allow us to remove it, we could remove it, but we could keep it. That's what you wish.
I guess the point I'm making is, if you've got two sidewalks so close to each other, you're going to extend it another, you know, foot or whatever, then you've got like this little strip in between it, and then you've got this concrete going in between the two properties. I mean, if you are able to eliminate it, then it doesn't look like it's so much pavement along the side property, you know, because all these lots are narrow.
We're welcome to remove it.
But I mean, so that's for the commission to decide. But,
So
so those are
you're-
my points I was trying to make.
So part of this is also removing that little strip on the right side?
We're certainly
Okay.
very agreeable to that. Yes.
Okay. All right. And then, I don't know, my sense with the landing is consolidating it would make it look less fussy. Right now, I feel like it's detracting from the architecture because it sort of zigs and zags, does sort of weird stuff. But I don't know, is there,
Is that not a good place for a tree?
oh, that little section there?
Yes, right there.
Or the question is that an appropriate spot for a tree? And maybe you can speak to that, but I'm thinking that it would block
Well,
a lot of the home.
I think I have two thoughts on that point. One is that it's not a very large space, and two is Ms. Kim has been arguing against having a tree in front of the building. So to my eye, the paving that's there now dominates the view, and to reduce the extent of paving would really be an improvement for the whole composition.
Is there a photograph of the cuts that line up with the two front sidewalk steps to the curb? Because I have a question. Are those pieces of bluestone, are they concrete, or does anybody know?
They're pieces of bluestone, I believe.
If you're removing that one run of sidewalk that goes to the fire stairs, could you also remove those two strips that go out to the street?
Yes.
And
Yes.
then the whole issue of
Yes.
consolidating that stairs, it won't have the awkwardness that I think somebody was mentioning earlier.
Well, I also personally feel that encouraging a mid-block crossing on a street as busy as Alexander is a safety issue. So I think it would be better to remove those anyway.
Okay. So is that a motion?
Yeah, if we can remember all of it, it was
All right.
to,
So we're consolidating the landing, getting
Right.
rid of the two strips by the street, allowing them to get rid of the little strip on the side, the right-hand side, and
Widening the other one?
widening the other one.
And what about the material of the landing, the new landing?
So unlike the ones that were actual stairs, this one, I believe, would need to stay in concrete. There's just not enough room, there's not enough steps or risers to have that material make sense here.
Well, and also the application is to leave the landing at the base of the steps from the building because there's nothing wrong with that. We're just trying to repair the damaged pieces.
So the piece from steps down from the house, paving area, step down, but at this point, we wanted to push them together in the middle. Do they line up with the width of the piece that's at the bottom of the stairs, or are they just indented on both sides from it? Just so I understand it, or maybe you have to make a sketch.
It's narrower. I mean, you could show the site plan.
So as you come down the steps from the house, the first landing is fine and it's proposed to remain. And so from that point, we would strike a center line and create a 6-foot walk leading to that landing in concrete to match.
Yep.
Okay.
Just so I have a picture of it.
Okay. Yep,
Did that complete the motion?
I think we got that, yeah. So is there a second? Okay, Charlotte seconds. Okay.
Madam Chair, could I just make a comment? The removal of the sidewalk is actually on another lot. So maybe what we could have HPC is recommend that when the applicant comes in, that they don't need to come before HPC and that we could just support administratively.
Right, that would be an administrative.
Thank you very much.
Yes, okay,
Is there a driveway with this one? No driveway?
no. Okay,
Am I
we're
supposed to, oh, sorry.
I think we're voting.
Ms. Satterfield?
Yes.
Mr. Shatskin? Yes. Mr. Shore?
Yes.
Ms. Friedman? Ms. Kroll?
Yes.
Ms. Maria?
Yes.
Chairperson Capizzoli?
Yes. Okay, we're
Motion.
going to move to 19 Alexander Road. That's the one with the retaining wall. So there's been various opinions on the retaining wall, whether to let it go back to grass or whether to preserve the retaining wall and have it rebuilt. So I think Elizabeth had recommended that it might be better to remove it because it doesn't keep with the rest of the landscape. I tend to agree with that. But I know, Shirley, you like it.
Yeah, that's the wall I'm concerned about. Is it that they're going to repair it rather than to take it down?
Well, they said if we approved it, they would rebuild it.
Okay, that's as long as it's rebuilt.
Okay,
Okay.
so, but you want to keep it? You want to
Yes,
keep
I
it?
do.
All right, so you want to make a motion to keep the retaining wall and replace the apron with the concrete and rebuild the steps, plant the dogwood.
Madam Chair, I
Yeah.
think we need to also talk about the aluminum fence.
Right, and then there's an aluminum fence in the back. Are you okay with that? Yeah, okay. All right,
What's the material for the steps? And it's also the installation of the code-compliant railings.
right.
So
So the steps would be concrete with bluestone?
We had presented two possibilities, all concrete or concrete with bluestone treads.
Okay.
And both plans are in there. It's up to the board what they prefer.
Excuse me, also the landing, is the landing then going to be bluestone clad, concrete,
If the
or
request is to do
bluestone?
the steps with bluestone cladding, then the landing would be bluestone as well.
Okay, thank you.
And this application is also to widen the stairs, I believe, because they want to be able to install new railings.
Mm-hmm. Right, and I understand that. All right, so Shirley, are you making a motion? I know you feel strongly about the retaining wall.
I make a motion that we accept
The
the
19
retaining
Alexander.
walls, yes.
Yeah, okay. All right, is there a second? Okay, David seconds.
Okay. This is 19. Ms. Satterfield. Ms. Satterfield?
Yes.
Mr. Shatskin? No. Mr. Shore?
Yes, please.
Ms. Friedman?
Yes.
Ms. Kroll?
No?
Ms. Maria?
No.
Ms. Capizoli?
Yes.
Okay, motion passed.
Okay, our next one is 2527. So this is making the risers standard. The risers are all different dimensions.
If it helps, Madam Chair, this has I believe, all the elements of the immediately prior application minus the wall.
Okay. So these stairs will be concrete with the bluestone.
Again, assuming that's the board's preference, it would be, yes.
Uh-huh. All right. So other than the fence, it's pretty much the same. So is there a motion to approve?
So these steps, it also has an option for the treads to be bluestone, is that correct?
Yes, I think,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's,
So,
And this has a driveway as well.
yep. So is there a motion on 2527 with the bluestone cap option for the steps?
So moved.
Okay. Is there a second? All right, thanks, Charlotte.
Ms. Satterfield? Mr. Shatskin? Mr. Shore?
Yes.
Ms. Friedman? Ms. Kroll?
No?
Ms. Maria?
No.
Ms. Capizoli?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay, now we're at 29 Alexander Street. This is the one with the path that goes to campus. So this is extending a fence, replacing the apron. There's the path lighting, and then there's the planting of the dogwood. And for this one, Elizabeth, did you have comments again on the Dragon Lady?
Yes, similar as before, although I believe, which property is this?
29.
This is 29?
Yeah.
Okay. So 29, I believe on the side elevation, they have more walls that have less fenestration versus the one on 31. So there is a consistent design there, so I think the HBC wants to really consider that. Again, it's the same planting that they had before, which is the Ilex Dragon Lady. Same columnar, evergreen style. And in addition, I also talked about that dogwood that sits right in front of the house. If perhaps it could be shifted.
I will point out, though, that there's a significantly larger planting area along this drive than there was at 44, so I do think the Dragon Lady is appropriate here.
Okay.
I'm sorry, could you say that again?
The planting area on both sides is significantly larger than it was at 44, so I think Dragon Lady is an appropriate plant.
So again, it depends on how HPC feels about the design of the columnar on both sides. And I understand that they're really kind of create almost like a promenade effect with the lighting. I think the lighting is going to be benign except for when it's turned on at night. You know, you're not going to see it during the daytime.
Right, it's pretty subtle.
Yeah. I was just wondering if if you could tell us what that foot candle is that's shown for the lighting.
It's 0.01
Okay.
at 7 feet.
Okay.
All right, so I think we've gone through all the points. Is there a motion?
Julie, may I ask a question first? With putting in the path lighting and obviously putting in the new landscaping, a lot of digging's going to go on there. Any chance that that driveway can get resurfaced, or?
We are going to be planning for that.
It's needed, yes.
Thank you.
Just for driveway resurfacing, they would not have to come back to HPC, right? Okay.
No.
Just replacement in kind, yeah.
Just want to make that clear.
Thank you.
Can you clarify on all the houses, you guys want to remove that slate on the right of way, correct? Like what you proposed on 15. We have the same scenario on 19, on 25, on 29, and on 31, I believe.
The,
Concrete.
That slate piece,
The-
that's not on our property technically, it's on the right of way.
those little pieces,
Yes.
yeah.
Remove them all. Okay.
If you could reuse them.
Yes, we will
somewhere.
definitely use them.
Okay. Right, back to 29.
So 29 has a driveway, apron, sidewalk. It has the fence, lighting, and landscape.
Right. Any other questions? And if not, is there a motion?
Can we use the template we've been using? A motion to approve with the concrete replacement at the driveway apron, the landscaping that they're proposing, the lighting that's being proposed, and the landscape that's being proposed. Did I say that?
Yeah.
With Dragon Lady would be okay there.
And the ornamental, yeah.
Is that all the points?
I
I
think
that was it.
so.
And the
It's,
fence.
And then there's a fence in the backyard that's wood
Yes, only wood on this one.
And the wood fence.
in the back, yeah. I think that's it. All right, is there a second?
Who-
Oh, thanks, Shirley.
Who made the first motion? David?
David, and Shirley seconded.
Ms. Satterfield?
Yes.
Mr. Shatskin? Mr. Shore?
Yes.
Ms. Friedman? Ms. Kroll?
No.
Ms. Maria?
No.
Chairperson Capizzoli?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay, last one is 31 Alexander Street. So this is the same thing with the apron. Same type of landscaping with the cherry trees as well. And another wood fence. Okay.
Brian, I was wondering if you could show that picture. Oh, there it is. Thank you. So, so I guess the question or the concern I have is, as you can tell, the back side of this house has a lot of windows on it, and they're pretty closely spaced together. I'm just wondering how that holly tree is going to fit into that area.
Well, again, the intent is to have it located between panels of windows.
Right, but I mean, maybe it's just the perspective of the picture, but it looks like there's no way to put it in between any windows without it blocking it as it's growing, and even before it hits maturity.
Well, I believe there is.
Well, in the area where there's the, mechanical access, would there be one there to sort of camouflage
Yes.
So one there, and then
Which mechanical?
the electrical panel that's
Oh,
by the
right.
front door.
Oh, okay, it doesn't look like it's there
So-
according to the drawing.
So the holly would kind of be in front of that, so you wouldn't see the electrical panel. And then
So what-
after the window, you have enough room for really 3 before the windows start.
Right, so as I said, it's really the back portion that seems to have more fenestrations than the front.
So, I guess we could say provided they don't block any windows.
That'd be a good condition.
Yeah, okay. So,
And they can just either reduce or realign the plantings in consultation with Elizabeth
Yeah.
without, as an administrative change?
yeah, if they want to,
If there's a possibility to swap out the location, I'm sorry, is that what you're saying, would be administrative for the last
yeah,
one?
I
Or
guess the concern is if anything is blocking windows.
that we would just kind of work that out administratively as a
Yeah.
condition? Okay, understood. I think that makes sense.
Okay.
Either that or eliminate a tree,
Okay, yeah, or eliminate the last tree,
Right.
and there wouldn't even be close to a window, yeah. Okay. So is there a motion on this one?
Yes, let's have a motion. Do we need to repeat it, or is it well enough recorded?
I think that we went over everything very similar to what was on 29, so.
Right.
Okay, so moved.
Is there a second? All right, thanks, Charlotte.
Ms. Satterfield? Mr. Shatskin? No. Mr. Shore?
Yes.
Ms. Friedman? Ms. Kroll?
No.
Ms. Maria? Chairperson Capizzoli?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay,
Thank you all so much.
thank you.
I have an administrative question for probably Elizabeth
Yes.
and the HPC. Would you want all of these in one resolution or separate resolutions for each property?
You could probably do one, and I'll just copy it for each file, if you
Okay.
include all of them.
Yeah, because I think the like whereas clauses, a lot of the information is going to be the same. It's just the relief that'll be different, I think.
I think that would work. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you for coming in.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
All right, our next application is 210 Cherry Hill Road. Come on up. Hi. Yep. Oh, yeah. Is it on? Yeah, you got to push the button.
I'm not very good at this. Here we are.
Yeah.
That's why I don't have fancy pictures up
All
there.
right, can we swear you in?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give this evening is the whole truth to the best of your knowledge?
Whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Thank you.
Okay. So this is for a pool house, and I think we got these drawings last month, so
Correct.
hopefully you went back to your packets. But Elizabeth, did you want to read from your report?
Sure, I'll just do something really quick. And this application did require demolition noticing because they are taking an existing pool house. They're demolishing to build a new, so I'm just going to ask our HPC attorney if all noticing is in order for us to proceed.
Yep, it looks like they met all of those notification requirements.
Thank you.
Yes.
So the applicant, Princeton Theological, sorry, wrong one. Sorry, hold on.
Do you want me to read from the report?
If you could, I could just generalize it, but I actually don't know where my report is for this one. I'll look there in a minute.
I
But
can-
I'll just,
I can read
Yeah,
the
thank you.
comments, if you want me to read the comments.
I just wanted to put the application address on record that this application is at 210, thank you, 210 Cherry Hill Road. It is part of the Tusculum Historic District buffer, which is a type 1, which is viewed from public right-of-way and anywhere else within the historic district. So this makes it really simple because obviously I'm going to go through it pretty fast. As mentioned, this is in the Tusculum Historic Buffer. It's set pretty far back from the street, however, it is type 1. It's situated on the west side of Cherry Hill Road between the the east streets of Chestview Drive and Follett Drive. Sorry, mine was marked up. The zoning officer did review this and found that there was no requirements for zoning. The pool house is an existing octagon shape which has an 8-sided hip roof with asphalt shingles, has vertical wood boards clad the exterior walls, combined with sliding doors and full-length windows. And as mentioned, the applicant wishes to demolish this and place it on the footprint with a slight expansion to the size. It will be built next to the pool house, and there is a small existing stone terrace that will be removed, an existing stone walkway on the north side of the pool that will be realigned to accommodate the expansion of the building footprint. There's some additional new stepping stones, porch entry, installation for access for the new kitchen door off, and there's also some relocation of landscape on the property in addition to new landscape. You can see the comparative sizes of the existing and proposed, and the height is approximately the same height as it exists today. And then it just talks about the material. As mentioned, it does appear that the pool house is aging and replacement does seem reasonable, and the building design is an improvement what currently exists. The existing house on the property is not historic, but because it is so close to Tusculum, it is to protect the buffers to that historic district. I believe that the applicant had addressed some of the questions I had on here, which asked
Yes.
about the footprint.
Yep.
I'll leave that to him to talk about that. And then there are some questions which are also
Sure.
addressed for
Yep.
the applicant. So
Okay.
I'm going to turn it over to him to be able to address them and answer any questions that the commission may have. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
We were here in 2022 in May for a larger addition to the house. I believe that was a Zoom meeting, but this is now much better. Anyway, I'll just go briefly through the drawings to make it simple and then open it up to questions or discussions that you may have. The first thing I'd like to point out is that this little building that is 16 feet wide and 20 feet long is 1,350 feet from the road. It's 622 feet from the barn at Tusculum. It's 821 feet from the main house at Tusculum. And there are so many trees between all of this that you can't even see the pool house from the main house. So nobody's going to see it. Anyway, but we did do a nice job designing the new pool house. It's similar roof structure, slate roof, copper gutters, cedar shingle siding that is painted. Windows are Marvin windows. The lighting is similar to the lighting we used up at the main house. So it's really just an addendum to the request we had in 2022. Only it's smaller and further away and nobody can see it. You can see on page HP3 the existing pool house and why it needs to come down. You can see the new building proposed on HP4. And it has, as I mentioned, the slate roof with a similar sloped roof to the main house. It's slate, the siding is shingles, the lights are the same. The lights are temperature of 2,700, and they only have a 400 lumens, so they're not very bright, but they do work well for the fixtures that they are on the house and lighting the immediate area. The windows that we're using down there are exactly the same as the windows we put in on the original house in the kitchen. And they're just a large sliding door. And the new ones work a lot better than they used to. We are adding something that's different. You'll see on HP 6 is there will be a structure ceiling porch that goes out from the back of the pool towards the swimming pool itself. This is a structure that has louvered roof structure that's flat, and you can open it up when it's nice and sunny, but if it's raining, you can close it down and it'll drain. So they gain an additional covered area for entertaining when they want to. It will be painted white, and as will the little trellis covers on the back of the building that houses the storage units. It's pretty straightforward. It's pretty simple. I'll open it up to questions. It is as sustainable as it can be. Our industry now is very sustainable. We try and do as much as we can with trees. We're using slate. We're using the trim as boral, which is a fly ash product that's been approved by you, and painted white. So it's on the same footprint as the old pool house was. So the destruction is minimal. The planting that is there now is going to be dug up, healed in, and then replanted when we're done. So there's no loss of trees. It's a pretty straightforward project.
Okay. So I'm just going to go off of Elizabeth's comments.
Okay.
So the lighting, I guess there's concern about if there's going to be any kind of light trespass. And I mean, it sounds like it's so secluded, you can't even see the building, but
What's the concern?
will anyone see the lighting
No.
from another property?
No.
Okay. Let's see, the roof, there was a question if the roof height.
We looked at that. The roof height of the existing octagon is 4.5 inches lower than the ridge of our new building. It's imperceivable for anybody to even notice that.
Okay.
So we're going to leave it.
All right. What will the color of the trellis and vine structure be painted?
White.
White, okay. And just so you know, there's been a lot of discouragement in planting ivy because it's invasive and it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, will there be a new path to access the storage doors?
No, that's just going to be mulched. So we'll
Okay.
just walk on the mulch because it's not used that often. So it's not worth putting bluestone stepping stones there.
Okay. There's a hickory tree.
Oh, the hickory tree is beautiful. Yes, we're protecting it.
Okay.
It's,
That,
yeah, it's a great tree.
yeah, so making sure you protect that, okay. So
And
I
we've
think
got drawings for protection on. On HP2, there are
Okay.
protections for the tree.
All right, great. All right, are there other questions about this application?
No, I think I tried to, I always try to scout locations for our meetings.
Couldn't get there.
Couldn't get there.
Yeah.
So to me, that says, unless there are other questions, I'm ready to put this to a vote.
Yeah, I mean, it's really far from Tusculum,
Really fun.
so, yeah. All right. Any other questions? And if not, would anyone in the public like to speak regarding this application? I don't see anybody. Okay.
I know the neighbors at Tusculum, and they like this.
Oh, good. That's good. Okay, nice. If not, if there's no other discussion, is there a motion?
Sure, I'll move that we accept the application. I have to say, as a slight footnote, if Elric were here, he'd be arguing over some small architectural detail that he didn't like.
I know.
But,
I know, bless his heart. I mean,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
miss him.
but I missed that. But apart from that,
Yeah, okay.
I move to accept the application.
Is there a second? Okay, thanks, Shirley. All right.
Ms. Satterfield? Mr. Shatskin? Mr. Shore?
Yes.
Ms. Friedman? Ms. Kroll?
Yes.
Ms. Maria? Chairperson Capizoli?
Yes. Thanks so much for
Thank you
coming
very
in.
much.
Thank you. All right. Come on up, Princeton University. We're doing our best. We're doing our best. Sorry. Oh, yeah, yeah. Does that, can we take just a really quick break? Yeah, if anyone has to freshen up or anything. I'm sorry. It's been a long meeting. Yeah, it's right over around the corner. This way. Sorry. Yeah, I know, everybody does, so. I've been telling them, maybe you want to go to the other one. It's going to be busy.
Yeah, I think he wants us to be close to, in case we have to stay.
I should check my phone.
Okay, let's see.
Right. Yeah.
think I had my
Yep.
list.
I think they also need a resolution because it just does not go anywhere but us.
Was
so
that a?
I
okay.
think all
Yeah.
three are under our
And that was one that
jurisdiction.
we had to go in.
So, thank you so much for being here. It was kind of weird because, you're,
Okay.
Well, I told Lisa, so the meeting that Lisa is at tonight,
Mhm.
in that town, I am the planning board attorney. And I told her, I was Lisa, I'm not legally allowed to cover that municipality.
Yeah.
She said, she was like, oh, you know, this is probably gonna be long, you wanna cover Stockton for me? I said, I can't, and she was like, wait, you can't. You
Yeah,
can't.
yeah, you're
'Cause
the
ethically-
attorney, yeah.
Ethically, you can't be both planning board and municipal attorney.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Hi. Sure. Thank you. That's so nice of you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I had heard that Ed said we didn't have a conflict. And I was like, what the heck? Like, I'm sorry, that's so confusing.
So who's causing the conflict is Ryan Kennedy,
Yeah.
the mayor, and
Yeah, yeah.
and their form of government
Mm-hmm.
is they appointed a new attorney to meeting, appointed Ed and Lisa's firm as special counsel, which requires a vote of the full governing body for like almost
So it's essentially the same thing. I mean, there's still the conflict. Yeah, yeah, thank you. Wow, this is,
I recommended, I was like, Lisa, just tell them to change, just tell them to change the ordinances so that the mayor doesn't get to pick the
Yeah, yeah.
which is a
Yeah, I know, I've never even heard of that before.
It's very few times I've been in a city where the mayor was picked as attorney. I was in it once and I backed out of meetings. Really bad with the mayor on anything. So I'm like, well, I'm here and everybody here hates me.
Wow.
You haven't been approved by a majority of
Yeah.
the body that you're supposed to be
Yeah.
representing. So it can, but.
My eyes aren't good in darkness, so I have a flashlight I guess I'll use.
All right, everyone, thank you for coming back. We really appreciate you hanging in there. Hello, Princeton University.
Hello.
So, let's get this going. 18 to 40 Edwards Place, application of the trustees of Princeton University. Elizabeth has a report. Elizabeth, did you want me to just go to the comments, or do you want to summarize? All right.
You can go to the comments, sure.
Okay.
But I believe that the applicant has a presentation, right?
Yeah, so we'll just read the comments, then you can do the presentation, and then.
Sounds great.
Yeah. Just that the majority of proposed improvements are repair and when necessary, replace, which will be in kind. The new color scheme seems appropriate to and compatible to the colors of other houses. Removal of the triple track storm system is an improvement. I appreciate the details in documenting the building features. It's recommended any existing window weights remain in the weight boxes or to be stored for possible future use. Recommended that if LED is used for the new lighting fixtures, the spectrum be no greater than 2700 Kelvin. Overall, it's sympathetic to the historic fabric of the building. HPC should weigh the information the applicant presents regarding the age of the existing windows and if there are greater differential or dimensions, and if that's acceptable. And then there's a bunch of questions about have the 6 center units ever had decorative metal railings over the entries? When was the covered front porch removed? Will the replacement of the front entry door hardware and the mailbox slot match the existing? Product details, I think we've got that. Insert windows are proposed as window replacements. And so there's concern if matching the existing window, I guess the dimensions of the insert windows, I guess you can address that.
Yeah, I think I was trying to say there is, that there's an advantage, obviously, for insert windows because you're able to retain more of the historic fabric. You can retain your sills, your trim, you know, the framing and everything like that. However, the dimensions, you can't get as accurate as matching all the window dimensions. So that's what HBC should look at. And when you look at that differential chart that was created, the highlighted, the dark ones are the difference of the 1/4 inch, which is what quarter inch, which is what HPC uses, the former borough standards for anything greater than a quarter inch differential, is something that kind of puts up a red flag and says, hey, look at this a little bit more. But at the same time, according to HMR's study, they had stated that these were replacement windows, and I think that that's something that we'd like for them to address, to see what was the age of these windows that were replaced. I understand that they were double hung, and now that they're single, which were hard to actually tell from the picture. So, you know, if you could give a little information about that for HPC too. So that's what that comment was.
Okay, and then the material for the rear door replacement, seems like there's a little inconsistency with some drawings, so maybe you can go into that. What's the color of the rear replacement door? The basement windows, a little question about those, and do the existing window wells require repair? So I think that's everything. All right, so take it away.
Thank you. I'm Christopher DeGrazia from Fagery, Drinker, Biddle, and Reith, representing trustees of Princeton University. We're happy to be here this evening. This is involving 1840 Edwards, which is essentially 12 units of faculty housing that's owned by the university. This project tonight is essentially a maintenance and restoration project. I think it's something that the committee should be excited about. You know, this is an owner that is allocating resources to an older structure to take care of the structure, to maintain it, and to bring it up into current codes, up to current codes. So one of the guiding principles here, and I think you'll see it through the materials, is the preservation of the historic fabric. I think we've done that very well here. But for the most part, we're looking at, you know, repairing and cleaning and repainting and repointing, and in some cases, replacement in kind. We do have the window inserts that we are proposing, and as indicated, we're doing that to preserve the historic fabric, and also allows us to remove the storm windows so it'll look nicer from the street. So we think it's a really very positive approach, and we're very excited about the project. We think it does elevate the streetscape and does great improvements for the structure itself. I should mention there are no changes to the architectural elements. There's no expansion. There's no addition here. Like I said, it's really simply just taking care of and maintaining an asset. Unless you have any questions, I'd like to turn it over. We put together a short 22-slide presentation. We can mark it as Exhibit A. And I would like to introduce our architect, Brian Stevens, who is from HMR Architects. He's a licensed New Jersey architect.
If you could raise your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, thank you for inviting us here tonight. As Christopher said, my name is Brian Stevens. I'm a licensed architect in New Jersey with HMR Architects. I'm an associate at HMR. So I will we'll go through this presentation. I've attempted to address the comments we've received that you began to go through. I've tried to address them in the content of my presentation here. So if I skip over any, we'll certainly go back to it. So starting off, you know, as Christopher said, these are 12 townhouse units owned by the university. They're used as faculty housing. To the next slide, please. It's located on the southwest end of Edwards Place, and the front facade faces north. You can see on the short dead-end street the amount of street frontage these 12 townhouses occupy. The units themselves are relatively narrow, 12 to 13 feet wide each, but when you line 12 of them up together, it takes up a lot of street front. Next slide. We believe it was constructed between 1885 and 1888. It appears on the 1890 Sanborn map, and it is not on the 1885 map. And then in the next slide, You'll see it is located within the Mercer Hill Historic District, as everyone's aware. Next slide, Lisa. This photo was taken from the seminary, probably Stewart Hall in 1888. It's the only historic image we uncovered of Edwards Place, and you'll see there, you're looking at the rear elevation, that's a closer view. The buildings, although the rear porches have been reconstructed, which I'll touch on, the configuration has not changed. You get a really good view of what was happening here. The difference when they were constructed as worker housing in the 1880s, the yards were individually fenced, and there's outhouses at the back end of the yard, which not there anymore. Next slide. Site improvements are relatively minor here. We are not touching any of the existing sidewalk. The driveway and parking lot will remain. We are not removing any trees from either side of the building, the front elevation or the rear. We are replacing the wooden fence in kind. There's a gate at the end of each walk from the rear porch. This fence is, near the end of its life, and it's due to be replaced, and that's what we're taking care of in this project. Next slide. Very quickly, this is just the 2 levels of the interior floor plan. The proposed work is really a refresh, and as Christopher said, a maintenance project. We are not proposing any floor plan alterations at the interior. We are replacing appliances and fixtures and building systems, in addition to insulating the entire building envelope from the interior, where we're removing interior finishes to get to the wall cavities. Next slide. Here you see the elevations, the long elevation across the north facade, and then typical elevations of the rear. On the Sanborn map, there is what appears to be a continuous front porch along the whole building, which we've not seen any other evidence of. I know the question of when was that removed. It shows up on the same designation on the Sanborn maps through 1918, and then there wasn't another depiction of the porch. Architecturally, looking at the front facade, there's no remaining evidence that a porch was ever there. It doesn't mean it wasn't there, but this clapboard and everything else appears to be original, and we can't speak to what was on that porch. We're not proposing any changes to this front elevation, no reconstruction of the porch. As for the pediments over the pairs of entry doors, the center 2, so the 4 units, there's 2 units in each side of the center line. There's no decorative metal railing above that, and again, there's no evidence on the facade that there was a railing there. We looked at the cap of the pediment, and again, we're not proposing to add one. We have no evidence that there was one there. You can see the rear elevations. There's an alley between each pair of units, which is a nice way to bring some daylight further into the units. There's existing HVAC condensers in the alley. We are replacing those in the same location with new systems, so there's no changes proposed back here. These porches, you'll note they're in the same configuration as the historic photo, but we believe these were rebuilt certainly after World War II. We speculate around the 1970s. It's nominal dimension lumber and plywood, cinder block, and concrete slab. It's very simple construction. There's some initials and some writing in the concrete from the 1970s. That's why we sort of place it there, but we don't have a record of when that was actually reconstructed. No changes are being proposed to that. Next slide.
Next slide.
So the work that we're proposing on the facade, and it's typical on all elevations, is a repair. All of the painted wood surfaces, the architectural details, the wood clapboard, casing, everything's to remain. It's going to be prepped and painted. Where there is damage, which we've noted on our application submission, the more detailed drawings. Where things are damaged, we're replacing in kind with wood profiles to match existing. No proposed changes here. And again, it's in relatively good shape. Next slide. Part of the window and door work that we're proposing, and we'll get into a little more detail in this, is to remove the triple track storm windows, then remove the window sashes themselves and replace them with insert windows, a Marvin clad wood insert window with insulated glass panels, 6/6 light pattern to match the existing. The front doors are going to be prepped and painted. The hardware, the operating hardware is existing to remain. We have an image of that a little later on. The storm doors, which are not original, these are aluminum storm doors, we're going to replace them with full light wood storm doors that will have just the storm panel, not a screen, and will give you more of a full view of the existing door.
And just to answer one of the questions, we will be, the knobs will remain on the door, but we're replacing the mail?
The mail slot and the deadbolt. Next slide. The stone foundation and the brick stoops are all remaining with just maintenance and repair work. There's limited amounts of repointing. At this point, we don't anticipate the need to replace any of the brick or stone. Again, it's all in fair condition, but repointing will take place. The metal handrails are going to be prepped, primed, and painted. They're going to remain no alteration as well. In the center image, you can see the existing numbering, light fixture, and fire alarm device. We are replacing the light fixture and the signage, which we'll show in a later slide. Next slide. At the roof, the existing roof membrane will remain. The chimneys will also remain, and this hatch to what's essentially an inaccessible small attic will also remain. There are a few new penetrations for cast iron vent piping for plumbing. The way this roof is pitched, it slopes continuously from the front, the north elevation, to the back. So where these penetrations are happening further back, you're lower than the parapet. They're about 12, 14 inches high, but they're not visible from the street front due to the receding elevation of the roof as it slopes. Next slide. The exterior paint, this is the scheme we've proposed. We submitted actual paint chips, I believe, in our application packet, and we have full-size paint chips that we can show because the color doesn't always come through accurately digitally. We did not complete a spectroscopic paint analysis, but we did collect paint chips. We sanded down the paint finish to get down to bare wood, and as we went through, we found different layers of other neutral tones. Our belief is that there was never a bold color scheme on this, nor would we want to propose something. As I mentioned earlier, this takes up quite a bit of the street facade, and when you look at the adjacent properties, something more dramatic than this could really dominate that end of the street, which is not what we want to do. Next slide. And so these are the neighboring properties, and you can see that they're typically more ornate and a little more colorful than at 18 to 40 Edwards Place. We feel very comfortable with that color scheme. I didn't mention, we did pick it from a palette of colonial revival colors from I think we even referred to Century of Color, the Roger Moss book, to look for different color palettes. Next slide. Okay, so here are the front doors. The interior view up in the upper right corner with the proposed storm door, wood storm. The mail slots are being replaced. We are proposing an aged bronze finish, not a bright brass, and with the doors painted that deeper blue you saw in the previous slides. We also have the proposed replacement signage. It is using the font that standard for the university. Again, it's replacing what's there and essentially the same size and layout. We also have our proposed light fixture, which we have cuts we can submit with our presentation here at the color temperature, the 2700K temperature LED lights. Next slide. So here are the existing windows. You can see the triple tracks really tend to flatten out the appearance of the existing windows. We took apart, removed the casing on an interior of the window and found that we believe the weight pockets are original. Their weights are still in the pocket that we opened up. The frame and the sill is all original. The upper sashes have been fixed, turning them into a single hung. The sashes themselves, we believe, were replaced. We do not know when specifically they were. We would say, probably first half of the 20th century, maybe even later than that. The glass is flat and clear. It's not wavy glass, and the divided light, the wood muntins are. If it was, the sashes from the 1880s, the muntins would have been mortised all the way through the frame. There's no evidence of that. We sanded to bare wood, and these profiles are the actual profiling on it is kind of a more modern cut as well. So we do not believe that these are the original sashes. Next slide. What we are proposing is to leave the frame and weight box in place, including the existing casing, remove the sashes and the parting stomp, and install a Marvin clad wood insert window. The window itself would be, all of the operable parts would be new. There would be no, there's concerns with lead paint on operable windows and housing used for family. These windows would be insulated glass, improving the energy performance overall of the building that will now be insulated. The existing muntin and the Marvin's muntin are both 5/8 inches wide. We were using a simulated divided light, which has the spacer bar between the panes of glass to simulate the depth you get. Without the triple track on the exterior now, the shadow lines from the muntins and the depth of the window is going to be more evident. We also, as we'll show in the next slide, there is the compromise where the daylight opening with the insert window is reduced from what it is presently. And that is the compromise, but the advantage is we are not removing any of the existing wood casing, the weight boxes, we're not touching the clapboard. And given the relatively good condition of the exterior millwork, we think this is the appropriate approach for this, where the improvement is worth that compromise. We are demonstrating here as well the daylight opening from the exterior casing to the glass, both with the triple track and without it on the existing window, and then the new dimension. You see that the new sashes, the stiles are very slender, but there has to be another, that secondary frame that goes with the insert window included as well. Next slide. This is a little hard to read up on the screen, but this is our comparison where we illustrate the actual differences in dimensions on the units, including the top and bottom rail, as well as the parting rail and the size of the lights. In each instance, we'll be replicating the existing light pattern 6/6 on the front elevations and 2/2 on the rear and interior elevations, meaning the alleyways between the units. Next slide. These are just examples of other projects that have used the similar approach, just to, short of having a mock-up to show you, this is, recent examples of this. Next slide. So in response to some of the comments we received, we wanted to show a few other images here. On the left, you can see the existing entry door, and then there's a photo of the knob and escutcheon. That hardware will remain. We're not proposing any change to that. The mail slot will be replaced, and there's a deadbolt that will also be replaced. Moving to the right side, we are proposing there was some discrepancy in the application in our drawing, a fiberglass door with a solid wood core. The existing back doors are aluminum-clad wood core right now. With the interest of maintenance and durability, and something that feels like a wood door, we're very comfortable proposing the fiberglass-clad wood door with single light for the rear entrance. Those doors would be, they're currently painted black. We propose painting them black as well to distinguish them, and we did not consider painting them the same as the front door, let it be different in the rear. The window wells, you can see the basement window in the center top photo there. The window wells are corrugated metal. They are all in good shape. They're attached to the stone masonry. As these windows, the basement windows will be replaced with their existing in-swing awnings. We're replacing them with an in-swing awning Marvin window with the same two-light pattern. If the window well needs to be reattached, which we didn't see any evidence of that, we'll address that at the time of the basement window installation. Next slide. That is that's a summary of what we're proposing here.
All right, thank you. All right, I want to open it up for questions. Any questions about these replacement windows? The age of the windows, sizes, anything?
I have a question.
Yeah.
About the windows. So I wasn't exactly clear on what the windows are going to look like. So are they going to look like the examples on page 21? Is that what are those the windows?
That's the literature. We're not proposing that light pattern, but those are the windows, I believe.
But that's what it's going to look like, not the color, but
Not the color and not the light pattern. Like it's going to be a 6/6.
6/6.
Yes. Yeah.
That was my question.
Yeah,
Okay.
That is not. That's
So
just,
they're going to look basically the way that they look right now.
correct.
Gotcha. Thank you.
All right, thanks. As far as size discrepancies, did you have anything like over an inch or any kind of difference in size that you had to accommodate, or everything is?
The analysis that is included in the set
Yeah.
of comments is accurate. We've
Okay.
verified that, and that is what we depicted, and we double checked that
All right.
today, so that those are the
So that looks
differences.
very, very close. All right. Any other comments about color or anything like that? No? Yes, Elizabeth.
I think because the applicant had stated that the replacement they believe was like mid-20th century, I think that it's not anything of historic significance. So I think the differential that you see, which is, the standard we look at, that I feel that the insert definitely outweighs what that change in dimensions is. I mean, if it had been not as recent, maybe it would have been considered to be worthy of saving, but I think that, with the description that they had represented, that the inserts are a very good choice.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, in terms of insulation, it's going to be a huge improvement. Absolutely. Would anyone like to comment from the audience? Any public comment? No? All right, just checking. All right,
Can I ask one more question?
yeah.
So I think I saw somewhere in the application that the existing windows will actually be reused maybe, or will be kept in storage, is that right? Or am I mistaken?
The window, the sash, the weight boxes and the sash weights will remain, and which is a reversible condition. I don't know that we discussed retaining the sashes, but that.
Yeah, the sashes in the front are not the original, so they're going to be removed. All of the original material, the weights, the frame, the whole box will remain on the building itself.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
I'm
The
not.
sashes we're not keeping.
We were
You're
not
not keeping it,
we're
you're
not
just
gonna
getting rid of them?
We're not going to store the sashes now.
Okay.
Well, and do they have lead paint?
They do.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, then there's a problem, okay. All right. Is there any other questions?
I just had a quick, small question. You said the front doors were black or blue?
The existing doors are painted black. We're proposing painting them that
Painting
color.
Got it, okay.
The rear replacement doors are black.
Okay. Anything else? If not, would someone like to make a motion?
Yes.
All right, go ahead, Charlotte.
No, well, I first just want to compliment the university and the architects on the presentation and the thoroughness and the dedication to historic adherence. I mean, it's really quite beautiful. So,
Thank you.
do you want me to go?
Yeah,
I don't
just
know.
say, I make a motion.
So I make a motion to approve this, this entire proposal as is and with all its fine details.
Okay.
Thank you.
And is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, thanks, Emily. All right.
Ms. Satterfield?
Yes, I just want to say this is very well done. And also,
Thank you.
Reverend Edwards would really appreciate it. I'll tell you who that is. Yes.
Mr. Shatskin?
Yes.
Mr. Shore?
I'm trying to figure out the windows, what the replacement windows were previously and what the original windows were, but I can't seem to answer that myself, so I will say yes.
Ms. Friedman?
Yes.
Ms. Kroll?
Yes.
Ms. Maria? Chairperson Capizzoli?
Thank
Yes.
you
Thank
very
you.
much. Appreciate
Thank
your
you
time.
so much
Thank
for
you.
coming in. Thanks for, sorry about the delay. And
Appreciate it.
hope you have a wonderful evening. Thank
Thank you.
you. All right. So we are on to public comment. And I said that this would be the time where if anyone wanted to say something about Elric, we could do that.
May I?
Yes.
Do I need to be sworn in to
No.
make a public comment? Good.
No.
Good, thank you. I did want to come by, I didn't want to spend 3 hours doing it, but I did want to offer my sincere condolences as a former liaison. I was a council member, for those of you that don't know, and I was the liaison to the Historic Preservation Commission for 5 years, long time. Anyway, you know, Elric was really such a valued member of the commission and really appreciated his expertise and his experience in the community, and I just feel like it's a real loss for us all, for the greater community and for the commission, and I just wanted to express my condolences to you, his colleagues and friends. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. I don't know if anyone else wants to say anything? Yes, Leighton.
Thank you, Julie. Thank you, Elizabeth. I just want to read a statement that was quoted by Dr. Martin Luther King, because this statement reminds me of everything I know, witnessed, and felt about our good friend, Elric. If I can help somebody as I pass along, if I can cheer somebody with a word or song, if I can show somebody he's traveling wrong, then my living will not be in vain. If I can do my duty as a Christian ought, if I can bring salvation to a world once wrought, if I can spread the message as the Master taught, then my living will not be in vain. Rest in peace, Eldrick. May the good Lord keep you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, Roger?
When I was reading the minutes that were on the schedule for tonight, I came across two things. This was a discussion of the toll house on Mercer Street next to the Quaker Meeting House. And just two things that just struck me as so typical of Elric. The first note is, Mr. Endersby asked about the corner and how it connects with the principal house. Max Hayden, the architect, proposed meeting with Mr. Endersby to work on corner boards and siding. And that was so typical of Elric's generosity and giving of his time and his attention to detail and knowing how things work architecturally so that he could be a resource for us all. And the other thing, a little later on, Ian summarized Elric's comments as Mr. Endersby provided historical anecdotes about residents in the area. And sometimes it seemed like it was way out there. Other times it was entirely germane, but it was Elric, and it was wonderful because we didn't have that historical institutional memory that he collected during his 12 years of doing the Recollector, talking to everybody from the last century who is still alive in Princeton. And finally, just a personal note, as an operator or a member of the commission, to be very honest, I often waited to hear what Elric had to say to figure out what my position was going to be, because he clarified things, his depth of knowledge was such, and didn't always meant I voted the same way he did, but it clarified exactly where I was going to end up going, and that was not possible until I heard what he said. So I prefer to think he's in the Dominican Republic somewhere, wintering the cold that's to come.
Yeah, I know. I know this has been a really hard meeting to get through without him. So I don't know if anyone else wanted to say anything, but I echo Leighton's words that he was extremely kind.
I think it's his kindness with his subtleness, with his enthusiasm for every single built thing he ever came across. And it wasn't just with us adults. When I saw him interact with my son as a really tiny, unproblematic little boy running around doing stuff, we went up to the tavern where his offices were one day for an event. And he had something in mind for what James would be doing that day, and it was, they had been doing some archaeology, and they had a big, big pile of dirt to sift through. And James did that for hours with Elric coming by to check on him, and what did you find, and what do you think we might find? I mean, that's just that enthusiasm that he wanted everybody to have about history and the built environment is going to be really missed.
Yeah.
I remember I was asked in 1990 to join the Historical Society of Princeton, and I used to go up to the third floor. That's when I started the history of African Americans in Princeton, because it wasn't done. And I'd go up to the third floor on those creaky stairs at the Bainbridge House. And he would be on the third floor working on the recollector. And that's how I started my history, talking to him. He did so many interviews with people in our community. And he sent the best Christmas cards with his barns on the front of it. Remember those? Did you get them? And he was always willing to help. Actually, because I do the history, I'm always looking for things to put in a museum. And one day he said, I have 3 doors. I said, doors for what? He said, they came from the Robeson House on Green Street. So they're in my garage waiting for a museum to put them in. But I miss him so much. Oh, God.
Oh. Well, I know we'll keep you updated with information on the memorial, which I heard will be at Howell Farm at a later date. So we'll let you know.
Good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Howell Farm. Because he and Alex put that barn up. Yeah, and I saw Glen Cairn, which was a project of theirs, is going to be 50 years. Okay. Do you want to say anything about sesquicentennial, the stuff you wrote about?
Oh, I can do this. I can do this since
Yeah, just very quickly, in terms of some outreach efforts, last week on Tuesday we had the adaptive reuse tour of the Triumph Brewery. I thought it was very successful. Emily came, Frida was also there. The Triumph people were happy with it and invited us back to do it again, which we may do in the spring. We're still trying to expand that to some other facilities in town, like the Graduate Hotel. But it was an interesting and rewarding hour. It was co-sponsored by the Historical Society of Princeton. Last Friday, I met with the Mercer Hill Historic District Association officers, and I really was standing in for the Historical Society. They do events, they do tours. I ended up kind of being an honest broker and putting them together. They are looking possibly toward offering tours of Mercer Hill with the Historical Society, which is set up to do this stuff. We are not. I'll keep a hand in as best we can. Carolyn Robertson of the Historical Society, and this brings us in, has done some investigation. The State Historical Commission, which is a little-known body in the Department of State, does a lot of research, has some grants, is putting together a revolutionary themed display for use around the state. We didn't get a chance to send their brochure around. We should send that around. Essentially, they have, I believe it's 12 panels that could be put in the hallway of the municipal building or Monument Hall or possibly the library, depicting the lives of ordinary people during the Revolution, rather than focusing on the famous generals and soldiers and Alexander Hamilton and people we know about. It's more of a look at what quote-unquote normal people were doing during the Revolution. I think it's, I thank Carolyn for digging this up. I think it's something we should look at, and we'd have to bring it to the council to get approval, but some of the preliminary materials we've seen look promising, so we'll keep you apprised on that.
Thank you. I know we have just not too much more time till that happens, so. All right. Is anything else, Elizabeth?
So just a few things on the staff reports. I do want to follow up on the semi-quintennial anniversary historic state markers. Kip was able to put the 2 applications in, so they're all done. We're going to wait to hear, who will get granted some of those. 2 other businesses. I was reached out by the new historic preservation specialist at the county, and she wants to know if Princeton has any type of wish list on historic preservation projects that they like for them to look at. This is Mercer County, so I told them I'd bring it up today and see if there's anything that we can tell them about.
So Mercer County would promote historic sites in Princeton, or what are they going to do?
So they're wondering, is there a bridge, maybe that's a county bridge, that we feel, warrants work?
Oh, like grant money?
Well, it's actually through the Mercer County Planning Department, so they're looking to see if we have a wish list of work. She just reached out to me. She's new, and I guess that maybe that's, she's been asked to do that. And maybe it's because the Mercer Bridge, there was a whole thing about that where supposedly there was a bridge, they were taking a historic bridge from somewhere else, and they were supposed to put it in Princeton, and they just built we just built a temporary one before they had disassembled it and brought it over. But in the meantime, somehow they disassembled it, and it never was installed. And I think that they found it over at the airport, at the Mercer County Airport, and so now they've been trying to get it, and I'm not sure what they're doing, but I think that might have just kind of accelerated, hey, listen, what else might Princeton be interested in, or maybe other towns within Mercer County. So if anyone has any ideas, let me know so I can reach back out to her. The other thing is that I was told by administrator that Ed's retiring at the end of this year. So.
Oh, Edgemere is retiring?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we believe that probably Lisa Maddox, who stepped in for him in the past, who I think that she's done a good job, she'll probably be taking over.
All right. Well, thank you. I think that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a motion to adjourn? Okay, thanks, David. Second, Roger. Okay, thanks, everybody. Good night.